What's up, everybody? Happy good morning to every single one of you guys out there. It may be good afternoon and good evening as well to some of y'all folks that are watching with us today. Thank you so much for being with us, and we're going to have a good time today. It's going to be a long day, but we're up early. Breakfast with CeeLo. Hope you have your good coffee and your breakfast or whatever you got. We're ready for some NASCAR Cup practice and qualifying for the Straight Talk Wireless 400 that'll be on Sunday, and we hope to have everything for you guys today with three NASCAR events and a World Series to cap off the night. Today we'll be bringing you the practice and qualifying, as I said, for everything, and then we're gonna be bringing you. Let me mute this really quick. We're gonna be bringing you the truck race right after that, and then the Xfinity race. So we should have a full day here at Miami Homestead. Who's going to stick with CeeLo all day long and have some fun here on the channel? I hope you guys have a good time. We're going to get to practice and qualifying here in a second. It's on NBC Sports app. I don't even think it's on USA. So maybe we'll have a good little crowd in here today. So thank you so much for being here. Hit that like for us. Hit the subscribe. You guys have already blown out of the water for the likes already, so thank you guys for all that. Dallas, buckle up, sports fans. It's CeeLo all day. That's right. It is. What's up, Dallas? What's up, Bronny? Good to see you. Says AJ's cup scheme is so awesome to me. I love that blue and white pattern. Yes, I should have picked that one as well as one of my favorites. But let's get over to, and then let's see who else is here. Jamie's here dropping those fives. JT, what's up? Morning, buddy. Holly, CeeLo, good morning, everyone. Good morning, 9. I see you, 9. And what's up, everybody? Let's get over here and let's bring it in. Here we go.
Degree morning. Lee Diffie, Jeff Burton, Steve Letarte, and Dave Burns with you
to
get practice rolling. And nobody's in a better position, Jeff, than this guy here.
Yeah, and this is Joey Logano.
What's up, Sydney?
You know, a guy that didn't think could make it to Phoenix. You give this team enough time to prepare, and this has become kind of what they do. Penske Racing, during the year, they don't look like the best team, but when the year is over, there they are in Phoenix with a chance to win the championship.
Yeah, on the opposite side. Well, I'm sorry, Jeff, on the opposite side, Elliott and Blaney, they have to start to be thinking this is a must-win. Even Reddick, 30 and 27 points, even 47 can be made up with math. I just don't know if the group above, Bell, Larson, Byron, they're the last 3 winners here, right? So to think you're just going to come here all of a sudden and make up 30 or 40 points on one of these cars is going to be very difficult.
This racetrack's going to be really fast right now. You're going to see these drivers down in 1 and 2. They're going to be ripping the bottom down here in 3 and 4, probably to the middle of the racetrack. But as this practice goes on, I think they'll all end up right by the wall. But right now, with so much grip, a good opportunity to see what your car drives like on new tires, cold tires. Qualifying coming up in a little bit. Maybe you can learn a little something right now.
The champ could not have imagined
all day long,
to be in this position. So how's the weekend going to shape out for Ryan Blaney? Finally, can some luck or some good fortune come his way? That's a question that'll be answered in qualifying. Remember, he was up against it last weekend in Vegas when he had that practice crash and had to go to a backup car and was kind of on the back foot before the weekend really even got going. This guy here had a fast car last weekend, and that has given him, Steve, Tyler Reddick, and the 45 team. It's given them an air of confidence because the speed went away for a really important part, and then he had to scrap and fight like never before at the Roval just to get through to the round of 8. And last weekend, he knew that he was racing Christopher Bell. He knew the speed. He won the first stage last weekend, and then it was that moment where a gap that seemed like it was there, it closed, and this is what we're talking about.
He had the speed dip. I wonder if he's going to be questioning this move right here to be 3 wide top. I like the move. I think that's what you have to do. I think you have to be aggressive. Then he jumps over that quarter-mile asphalt.
Truex Jr. hopefully will win.
We'll see, maybe he could have backed out of the gas. and had a little bit more discretion.
Morning, everybody.
Not forced it 3 wide, but Jeff, we watch these restarts every single week, and I believe the mindset in the round of 8 has to be go, which is fill those holes and move forward. If you are second guessing or trying to check up, I just don't think you're aggressive enough.
I agree with that, and I think also the 2 guys that were on the bottom of the racetrack are 2 guys that you should be able to 100% trust, right? 2 of the best race car drivers we have. And racing happens, but Tyler Reddick is here because of his aggressive nature, Dave, and backing that off, in my eyes, is not in his best interest.
Good morning, Jeff. Great to be with you guys. And from down here on pit road, it is beautiful in the shade and getting a little bit warm in the sunshine. You can see the track has a little of both right now. And for all of the drivers, including Tyler Reddick, who was asked by crew chief Billy Scott, this is a managed practice. The tires fall off very quickly here, so you want to know what your car is doing when the tires are fresh and what the car is doing when your tires are old. So for me, this early morning practice, one of the hardest things is to get that first fire-off lap. Billy Scott told his driver, Tyler Reddick, I want you to give us a qualifying lap feel when you get out there. When the tires
Blaney Reddick, Dylan says,
when we change
Desert
them
Fox
for
dropping
qualifying.
those
So Jeff,
fives.
how hard is
Justin
that?
Haley for
First
Dylan.
thing in the morning, goodness, it's just after 9 a.m., and you got to get out there and lay down a qualifying lap just for the data.
Well, you know, look, as a race car driver, that's what you like to do. You like to go fast. And this racetrack, it has more grip than it's ever going to have. And it's got more grip than it's going to have in practice. If you go, qualifying, if you go faster in qualifying, it's just because air pressures, the things that you can do to the car to run 1 lap versus running what they're probably going to do is a full run right here. So, yes, it's an opportunity to learn, but your car isn't going to be the same when you go to qualify versus the way it is right now.
By the way, just on the timing on the left there, the reason why the green line is under Joey Logano is it designates that he is locked in. Can this guy here, a multi-time winner at Homestead-Miami Speedway, Denny Hamlin, can he be locked in tomorrow afternoon? He said earlier this week on his own podcast that he's surprised that they're still in
what's up, man?
That they're still in the playoffs. So can this take a massive turn in the right direction? Can the season turn around at the most unlikely
What's
time?
up, Davey? Good morning.
Anything's possible.
Well, so is that shock a positive or a negative? Because I can make the argument that they haven't brought their best. I can make the argument that they haven't brought their best, yet they're still here. They haven't been eliminated. So if they just find somewhere close to what they're capable, it should be enough.
Yeah. And he's the first one outside the cut line at 27 below.
It's going to have a good run today.
What magic
or this weekend.
Chris Gabehart work and the 11
Morning,
team.
Steven.
Well, I'll tell you, last week it was far from magic, but across the board, right? I thought Gabehart had some very uncharacteristic calls that they were a little on the edge of gambling and didn't work out track position-wise. They had some pit stops that weren't great. Denny was fine on the racetrack, but honestly missed his mark a few times coming in the just the whole 11 team was a bit just a miss, Dave.
Tyler Reddick on top.
Steve, right now you see Chris Gabehart watching things that Denny Hamlin does not want to be distracted with while he is running that car up close to the fence. That includes how he's doing into the turns and out of the turns. Right now, Chris is telling Denny he loves what he's doing in 3 and 4, but in 1 and 2, he doesn't like his deceleration. So as you watch that, and Jeff, again, as a driver, you're listening to this data, trying to pick at your lines as your tires go away.
Well, it's great information coming from
out of Homestead. It's right, Pat.
His crew chief that he trusts a great deal, and his crew chief's looking at data from other race cars. And the reason his acceleration is down is because of the line that he's running. If you look at Reddick, some of the other guys, they're already up on the boards, just ripping the boards, and that is where the car makes the most grip. But I have to say that there he goes. That's going to make the car go faster, that line right there. But everybody's going to eventually go
like
there.
Darlington.
So I also like the fact that you're not always just looking at lap times. You have to understand the strengths of your car and the weaknesses of your car. Denny Hamlin has enough experience to know that. And so this isn't always just about looking at lap times. It's about knowing what changes we need to make, because we're going to have to pass somebody at some point. And if we just get up there in the fastest
35
line,
likes. Let's get to 100, y'all. Hit that like button for us.
Learn what we need to know.
Cars are loud.
From the 11 to the 1, here's the Kubota Chevy for Trackhouse Racing and Ross Chastain, who found some momentum again. And he just said, too, a similar comment that some of the other drivers have echoed, and that is
Where's my watermelon fans
our
at?
Speed for a bit, and we
Drop
got
those
it back,
watermelons.
and Kansas was emblematic of that. And so, yes, we know we're not in the running, but what we can do is we can show how strong we can finish this season out. Let's go for it again. He's had good results here before at Homestead. So just go for the positives with 3 races left.
Had good fire-off speed. It's fallen off a little bit more than others on this run right here. 12 laps in. You know,
11 minutes left in Group A practice.
Some of the better cars are still down to 33s. Reddick specifically, Blaney as well. I think Blaney, Reddick, even Hamlin have some really good long-run cars.
So, Jeff, you've got the helmet back on, and as a multi-time winner here in the Xfinity Series, even though this practice session and the race is not at the same practice session and qualifying, excuse me, is not at the same time of day as the race, what would you do going out this early in the morning? What would you do?
Past midnight,
How would
Melbourne.
you learn something here?
Good morning, all. Good evening, Daryl.
I actually like what Denny was doing. I think that you got to get to the top of the racetrack because that's where you're going to run the most of the day. But if we go to the 12 car,
Daryl, you gonna stay up late with
in
us?
the middle of 3 and 4, you can see what he's having to deal with.
You've been dropping those
And
watermelons.
This is real world. His lap times are not going to look as good. When we look at it at the end of the day, we're going to say the 12 car is not as good as some other people, but this is real life. This is what he's going to have to be dealing with tomorrow as he's trying to pass people. And ultimately, you got to find clear track. You got to get yourself to the top to make sure your car can do it. But you also have to be able to make this pass.
Right.
And I like this. I mean, I know Blaney's probably a little frustrated because he
Blaney
can't
going
quite
around
get where he
Eric
wants to get on the
Jones here.
racetrack, but this is racing right here, and in my eyes, you're going to learn more doing this than you will just by ripping the boards. Now let's see what he does. Now he's cleared the 43 of Eric Jones.
T-Van, this is early, I know, bro.
Where does he go? Still not up all the way to the racetrack, kind of in the middle. Others are higher.
Morning, Sharir, what's going on?
Just 9.5 minutes left of practice in this first group. And Blaney's down in 18th of 19 cars.
Yeah, but that's just his fast lap. I actually think his long-run speed is really good. I don't know if he had traffic on his first lap or if it just didn't take off. I mean, it was
all eyes on Blaney.
Off, and I do think that also
down
helps
below,
your long run.
way
You don't
below
have to
the
use
cut
tires.
line.
But, you know, he's now 17 laps into the run.
We saw that last week, too.
Yeah.
None of the Penske cars took off with great speed.
Here's
But they
Truex.
all had really good speed in the race.
He's third best on his 15-lap run. As we go
Martin
to
Truex
Martin
in that
Truex
2017
Jr., who was
championship
in the mix, and
paint
he was pretty swift last weekend, but he was right in the middle of that most talked about incident involving Chase Elliott and Tyler Reddick.
Truex.
So we continue, as the car moves around a little, we continue to ask the question, just how well can this 19 team finish Martin Truex's final season as a full-time driver? He's a race winner here in Miami. And it would bring a lot of joy to a lot of people.
Yeah, first time.
To see this car out in front. Maybe, just maybe, there's 3 opportunities left.
It amuses me how the story of practice has changed, Jeff. When we had 90 minutes of practice, we would never go out and make a 20-lap run, even though we had 90 minutes. Now we only have, 15 minutes yet. They're going to go out there and make at least 20 laps, or if not more. I think it just comes down to the set of tires, right? With only one set of tires, if you go in and out a couple times, I'm not sure you're just going to learn what you want to figure out.
Right now, overall, A.J. Allmendinger, Noah Gragson, Haley, and Reddick.
A.J. Allmendinger, here he is, and last weekend was a truly joyous occasion as this guy locked himself into the
On a
NASCAR
10-lap, it's
Xfinity
Noah
Series
Gragson,
Championship
Keselowski,
4.
Tyler Reddick, Bubba Wallace.
Have you ever seen somebody celebrate so hard? He loved it.
It's been a
What do you got,
trying year
Ronnie?
for AJ. I think SVG's taken away a few of those wins at the road
Hines
courses,
back
but
from
now
his
that he's
picnic.
racing for a championship on Saturday, I think he's going to really enjoy racing here on Sunday. And this is a track he has back-to-back top 5s with
The
a 5th
dinger.
and a 3rd. So this is a track that his experience seems to suit him. He finds a way to run what I think is above average for this Collin car. I think he brings it further up in the running order on this oval than I normally would expect it on the ovals. We know it's great at the road courses, but the ovals may be a little bit short, Dave.
Steve back to full time
cool.
in the Cup Series in 2025. But for this year, this is his final Cup Series race as he looks toward that Xfinity
Any
Series
Allman Digger fans in the house? You see those 16
than the win last week in Vegas. Yep. The win set him toward Phoenix with a chance to win.
Yep, you're right, Shahir.
The team told me for today's race on the CW later this afternoon, it's all about keeping the momentum going. I said, well, you know, you want momentum next week at Martinsville, right? When a track you run very well. They're saying, nope, we want it today. We want it this afternoon. We want to keep this high going so that when we go into Phoenix, we have this driver as confident as he can be. And as you can tell, he's excited to be there, and he will be a threat when they go to the Phoenix Championship 4.
Right behind him is Michael McDowell. These two guys used to race each other in open wheel many years ago. Know each other's racing style very well. That loves Ford. Wouldn't it be something if Michael could
AJ's final Cup start
grab
of
another pole
2024
position before this season's out? He's got the most of anybody with 6. Kyle Larson with 5.
I bet it'll be AJ for practice.
And his run is winding down with this organization as he heads to Spire next year. A
We like
change
him,
for the
Gary.
veteran.
We think he does a good
Daytona
job.
500 winner.
It's going to be an emotional shift.
race
He's done a
tomorrow
lot
morning
with
with
his
the wife and
organization, but He
kids.
has to feel good about what he's
Heck
seeing
yeah.
at Aspire. You know,
Hope
they're
you have a great
considering
time, man.
Improving, you know, a considerable amount this year. So,
A couple of landmarks coming up, milestones, I
55
should say,
likes.
this
Let's
weekend.
get to 100,
William Byron
y'all.
makes
Help
his
us get there.
250th Cup start. This guy on screen, Michael McDowell,
Michael
will make his
McDowell.
500th start at the season finale in Phoenix.
Michael McDowell.
We
You
talked
see
about
about 34
real-world
fans.
situations. Austin Cindric directly ahead of the 45 of Tyler Reddick, and Austin is up against the fence, making really good lap time. The 45 of Reddick has caught him, but can't do anything with him. He's really where Reddick wants to be. See, as he backs away, he intentionally backed away from the 2 car to give himself a little bit more clean air. Now he's going to go try to run up to him to see if he can run him down. But when he did get to him, he couldn't do anything with him. And that's the thing about this racetrack.
Tyler Reddick's in the same boat as Denny.
Time, feel really good about
Needs to
yourself.
run fast, win.
Got a fast
top
race car.
5,
Can't
top
pass
3.
anybody. And so how are
Stage
you gonna
wins,
make that
everything.
work? So Tyler backed off, wanted to understand what his car could do, what it couldn't do. But that 2 car, Austin Cindric, he is fast. He's just drove away from him a little bit before.
What's up, Random? Good to see you, man.
Midway through this run.
Doing good.
Steve, Tyler Reddick said earlier this week, I love going to Miami and running the fence. I feel I'm pretty good at it. There's only one problem. There's another guy who's pretty good at it too. His name is Kyle Larson.
and I would add, you know, in this series, there's probably 3 or 4 others that maybe don't get the credit they
you're
deserve.
right, T-Van.
I think Larson and Reddick are the standout, but, you know, Reddick, we watched him down here, Jeff, win 2 Xfinity Series championships, lap after lap after lap, run inches from the wall, and he proved to me in those races that he had the comfort up there.
Oh, we were
3
yelling
minutes.
at him.
Let's.
I know.
Hestel,
Get off the wall.
Hestel, what's up?
Davo, what you got?
25 laps in the books for Joey Logano, but that is it. He has brought the Hunt Brothers Pizza Mustang to pit road. Listen.
I think you got power steering issue. Something's going wrong, I think. Not sure.
20-minute practice session. You can find all the things right about your car, but Steve, you can also find the little
Legend in
bugs.
training, Desert Fox.
Well, yeah, this is where you're going to be thankful you won a week ago, right? Because this would be really, really stressful.
Yes,
if you were in the
Logano's locked
playoffs
in. He won last week.
Trying to, you know, continue to advance. And power steering has been the one thing on this car. It was a real gremlin early. I think the teams kind of got their arms around it, but still, don't you think, Jeff, that's probably still the weak link? There's probably more steering issues than anything else in this car.
Yeah, steering issues, and then when the cars get damaged, the rack.
He
rack
needs
gets
to run
damaged
good,
as well.
Shahir. He needs to run good.
We saw a tremendous display of teamwork and teammateship from Ryan Blaney to Joey Logano last weekend, with Blaney, you know, not being in contention for the win, but sat behind and helped give Joey a little bit of a push.
Wallace
What
getting
can this man,
Bubba fans
Wallace
in this
do for his
house?
teammate Tyler Reddick this weekend? We'll watch with a lot of interest if that actually materializes tomorrow.
Yeah, I think the goal for Bubba Wallace is to keep up with Tyler Reddick this weekend. He's done a nice job all year of having pace, very similar to his teammate. But this is a racetrack where Tyler's
Valentine's Day
right?
car.
He's going to make it hard for you to be able to keep
all
up.
over it.
And so coming here, that would be my goal. I want to make the same pace as Tyler Reddick.
By the way, it's a
Brown
really
dropped those
interesting
23s.
design
Thinks
and
his
scheme
bubbles
on
is
the
the worst.
23 this weekend. We'll tell you more about it, but it's celebrating 50 years of Ronald McDonald House that has done so much, not only in the United States, but all around the world for sick kids. Just over a minute to go in this portion of practice
And Brad,
for this
9
first
top
group.
5
And
finishes
Brad
this
Keselowski.
season.
Watch for the 6 to be in the mix tomorrow. Where's Brad? He's 5th on the speed chart. What about on the consecutive laps? He's the best over the 5 laps. 2nd over the 10-lap run.
His first 5 or 6 laps were super
And
impressive.
Brad.
He had a little bit of struggle around lap 10.
McDonald's
getting it
breakfast,
back
yeah.
to be, you know, a top 7 or 8 car here in the long run. But to Jeff's point, you know, this is one of those tracks that you have to really kind of re-watch how aggressive the drivers were being, because the difference between a lane off the wall and right on the wall can be all the difference on the time chart.
Yeah, we're looking at those averages you were talking about.
What's up, Vegas?
One car that stands out.
What's up, Brendan Dial?
Noah Gregson. He's been out there for 32 laps. And this is a racetrack that Noah, I was here when he was driving for Junior Motorsports. They came down here and did a test, Steve, and the test was just to teach Noah basically how to run the top. And they came down here with spare backup quarter panels and stuff to fix the race car, and he just beat the wall to death for 2 days, and he learned how to do it. And ever since that test, he has been really, really good at this racetrack, and he has got great pace here today, and you see what he's doing.
Yeah.
He is not leaving an inch from the wall. He is not going to be afraid to scuff up the side of that race car.
And he won here in Xfinity Series competition a couple of years ago. Can I ask you this?
Group B for Christopher
Bell.
Bell.
Get good at it.
And that
It's just
ends
reps?
Group A
You
practice.
have to be willing to wreck.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to make mistakes. You have to be willing to damage the car at some point. Because to be good here, you have to be inches from the wall. And when you do that, you cross over it, you're going to hit it.
This is just some reflections from this session. Look.
All right, so there is your top 19 drivers in Group A. Tyler Reddick on top, riding that wall like he always does. He's really good at it. And there's another guy, Christopher Bell, coming up in Group B. And in Group B as well, Kyle Lawson will be doing that as well. And then really quick on the averages here. On a 20-lap average, A.J. Allmendinger was the fastest. Noah Gragson was the second. Justin Haley, Tyler Reddick, Michael McDowell. Now on a 10-lap average, it changed. Still Noah Gragson at the top, Brad Keselowski, Tyler Reddick, Bubba Wallace, Michael McDowell. On a 5-lap average, Brad Keselowski, Michael McDowell, Bubba Wallace, Tyler Reddick, Noah Gragson. So Gragson up there in all the stats right there. All right, back to the audio here.
Joey Logano, as Dave mentioned earlier, turned 25 laps, but then we heard the radio transmission of potential power steering issue for the winner from Las Vegas a week ago, locked into the championship for the 6th time in his career. Can you imagine if he goes on to become a 3-time champion, a 50% conversion rate for the time you make the championship to the times you've become champion? This guy's trying to halt that from happening. Kyle Larson, he'd like to be a 2-time series champion. Let's talk about one of his teammates at Hendrick Motorsports with Dave Burns. Davo?
And Lee, let's talk about the difference between Group A and Group B, right? 20 minutes for the first group that just went out there. Meanwhile, Byron and others watching, waiting, listening before they go out.
Like
Steve,
Briscoe.
the drivers and crews and engineers, crew chiefs have a chance to listen to all the others. None of the Hendrick guys had a car in the first group in the mix, but they had some partners. And they
5 drivers left that will run hard tomorrow.
William told me on the way to his car today, the advantage is, yes, we can read the track. We're now maybe a little bit better set up for this practice. He said, but by the time the Group A guys have listened to us and made their adjustments from Group A, when qualifying comes around, it is so tight. Everyone gets back together, and that makes qualifying a really big deal and really tough to make it to the final round and get the pole.
Yeah, I mean, qualifying is difficult
He's my
everywhere.
pick to win it.
And it matters everywhere just because the field is so close. It'll be interesting to see. You know, the groups is such an interesting dynamic because that Group A had definitely a better racetrack for speed, but is that better to learn about your car and better to make adjustments? Group B now, I think, has a little more representative racetrack of what we're going to see later.
All right, here's Group B drivers.
See this 24 car. You can see the back of the car, the diffuser hitting the racetrack a little bit on low air pressure.
Keep hitting that like button for us.
Didn't do it through 1 and 2. He's caught the back of the pack. Guys just coming off pit road. See that right there? That's kind of makes you mad, right? You're the first car off pit road, and those things hurt your lap time.
I like Briscoe, but Martin had one Richmond. He
That's why
wouldn't
you
be
see some
retired.
guys roll off pit road, and they'll actually let the first 4 or 5 cars go first because they want to blend in better. Byron still fastest on the board, so it didn't bother him too much.
There's a guy who we spoke about a lot, so much last weekend. Christopher Bell in the 20.
See Bell. You
Led
see my 20s.
155 laps last weekend and was denied the win. He was gutted, to say the least. The in-car radio was an uncharacteristic, highly emotional and pretty annoyed Christopher Bell, and you can understand why. He got so close to the victory after dominating the day.
Ends up being a split strategy. Joe Logano out there in old tires saving gas at 20 on fresher tires, trying to run him down, and he really came down to 1 or 2 laps in traffic. The 20 had a little bit of an issue with the 42 one time and trying to lap another car as well, and that's what it looked like at the finish, at the less than 1 second back.
Yeah, when he shot.
Bell, he
Yeah.
made he and Larson both second and third fastest in this group. Zane Smith fastest, but they both ran the bottom of both ends of the racetrack to run that pace.
Zane Smith fastest right now. Larson, Bell,
and both of those guys
Busher,
I talked about.
Stenhouse.
Some people will roll off the end of pit road and let several go. If you look out in front of Christopher Bell, there's no traffic, nothing, completely clean racetrack. He and Larson both, they went to the end of pit road, sat there, let 4 or 5 race cars go by them, and that gap got them what they wanted, and that is clean air, as opposed to what the 24, Byron, he's had to pass 2 race cars. So
it was
things,
too.
Steve,
What's up, Floyd?
not
Good morning,
that it's
man.
wrong, but depending on what your
Bring back
objective
5
is,
lug
you want
nuts.
clean racetrack or not, those guys completely committed to getting clean racetrack and had a plan to do it.
If there is something that can calm or motivate Christopher Bell after the disappointment of last weekend, Steve, it's the comfort in knowing of how well he raced here last year, got the win, but it was an interesting way to get the win. He only emerged into the top 5 after 220 laps, like of the 267. He led the last 10% of the race. And when he came in that last stage, and when he came to prominence in the top 5 and then took the lead, it was with authority. So, I mean, is that a calming / motivating
Tyler Reddick was
/ comforting thought from last year, or doesn't matter?
Zane
I think
Smith
anytime
is
you
the
come to a
fastest in
track where you
Group
had
B.
success, it
He's
comforts a
in
little bit. But
10th fastest
I think when you look
overall.
at the 8 drivers that are in this championship, or this group of 8, nothing's very comforting. Because I can make the same argument that the reason he emerged is because Kyle Larson got into the barrels coming to pit road, and some other drivers made mistakes. So, I mean, that's what makes this so difficult this year is Logano arguably was the one you had the toughest case to make. And yet he won, race 1. So now of the 7 that are left, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if any of the 7 won here.
Been riding along Christopher Bell. Behind him is Kyle Larson, and Kyle Larson has been running Bell down 2 to 3/4 tenths a lap.
So Smith,
Larson
Larson,
had been
Bell,
running the bottom
Busher,
of the racetrack
Stenhouse.
lower than Bell. Now Larson to the boards and ran 3/10 of a
Group B
lap
practice.
faster that lap as well.
Chocolate
So
brownies out of the oven. Let's
Christopher
go.
Bell knows already that he's going to have to find more speed because this 5 car is running him down.
Let's go for a ride. Let's have a listen. Kyle Larson.
Crank it up.
didn't run against the wall because in front of him, Bell went to the wall. So Larson, looking for a little bit of clean air, decided to run a little bit lower. Again, Larson.
I don't think he'll have as many
quicker.
poles as he did this year. He pinned that like button for us. Yeah, right. I was about to say that, Snake.
15 to 20 back to the 14, and the 14's been running about the same pace. But right now, Steve, Bell knows they got work to do.
Yeah, he is. Look, he's okay if you compare him to the field, but he's nowhere near where he needs to be comparing him to the cars he needs to win for this race. I think Byron and Larson are both faster. And he knows it because that's Bell up in front off that spoiler cam, and he sees it in the mirror.
And this is what you want when you're in the middle of the playoffs and you're on the racetrack, even in practice with other playoff guys. You want to make them not sleep tonight. You want to get in their head right off the bat.
All right, Mr. Multi-time race winner here. Watching Kyle Larson for the last handful of laps here. He's ripping the boards through 3 and 4, but here in 1 and 2, he's kind of mid-track. Is that the ideal line? Is that the best way to get around Homestead?
There's more flexibility in 1 and 2. We'll see a lot of guys make good lap times, not having to be right against the fence. 3 and 4 is a little less opportunity. Now, he's going to do it down here because he has no choice.
Fives.
Right? Bell's up where he wants to be. So watch what happens. Bell lets him go. Bell actually just did not contest that spot whatsoever. But he's going to drive away from Christopher.
About halfway through the race last year, Kyle Larson had a whopping 5.5-second lead, and as Steve mentioned earlier, he lost a lot of that late in the run. He won the first stage, by the way, but then he had that really crazy moment just over the 200 lap mark where he was coming into the pits and he was hustling.
Mark says he
so
needs a Seminole roll. Anybody want to get a Seminole roll for Mark, please?
Racing Ryan Blaney to pit road that he ended up smashing into the
Hendrick wrapping Bowman for Haley after next year. I don't think so.
On pit entry. Watch this as a reminder. Pretty crazy stuff, Jeff.
Trying to get to 100 likes, y'all.
Getting on pit road.
We're only at 79. There's 300 of us here. Help us.
That's what happens when you push, right? You're trying to get everything, and you're pushing that hard. It's easy to go over the line. When you do that as a driver, you feel so dumb, right? You feel like, oh my God, how am I this bad of a race car driver? But it's part of the game. I mean, it's just part of mistakes you have to be willing to make. Obviously, that's a big one, but you can roll in there and never make a mistake getting on pit road, and then on Monday morning, they're all going to sit down with you and ask you why in the world you're so slow getting on pit road.
Is the WellCare Chevy for Spire Motorsports. Zane Smith is going to make his first Cup Series start tomorrow here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Did well here in the Truck Series, by the way. Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup. It's a busy weekend here in Florida.
Eric Jones have a good run.
So at the moment, on the fastest
Zane Smith,
speed of the
fastest
session,
on the track for Group B.
So that's a nice start to the weekend.
Yeah, first. His
He's
teammate
still
Hocevar
10th fastest overall.
Justin Haley, the third Spire car, was in the first group.
This team's got to feel good about next year.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they have made some good changes, continue to make these race cars faster.
So 10 minutes left in this portion of practice for
just
Group
brought
2.
a good car for Zane Smith. Kyle Busch 34th.
As we go from
That's
Zane
right,
Smith
your daddy.
to
Bowman
the
ain't going
Napa
anywhere.
Chevy for Hendrick Motorsports and Chase Elliott. Felt for him last weekend,
Almost
Steve.
100 likes. Get us there, yo.
It looked, you know, after that first stage, the first portion of the race, it looked like there were some clear guys who were going to be racing for the win. It was going to be Christopher
Legacy
Bell,
Toyota, or Legacy
Tyler
Motorsports has had
Reddick,
the pink
it
all
was
month
going to be
long.
the 9 of Chase Elliott, and then he was right in the middle, wrong place, wrong time, get tangled up in that wreck.
Yeah, he was kind of the middle car in that sandwich that ended up
See
getting
my
right
chases.
upside down. And the problem with the 9 is the signature has been the consistency. So now that they're behind, can they find that gear we haven't seen, right? Do they have the firepower to win?
Dave?
As has been working this practice down on the board, 15th in
Thank
this
you for
group.
subscribing, Shreer. Thank you so much,
seems to be the
sir.
problem. As Spotter talked to him about it a few laps ago. You
NBC
need to work
Sports
on
app,
that entry.
Ramey.
That is where we are getting killed. And it's not always the same. It's different on both ends of the track. Entry can be a kind of an elusive thing to find. But entering the corner right here, that is where Chase Elliott needs to find some more speed.
You're welcome. Chase, 73 points out. He needs a win.
That is the beginning of making a car go fast, is how does the car drive on corner entry. We talked about Christopher Bell struggling. Now, look, he's not horrible. It's just Larson is just better than everybody else. And let's listen to what they're talking about.
I just hit the ground. That was really weird. Make sure you don't have a tire problem. If you think you do, bring it to us. Yeah, I might. I got really loose last lap coming to you.
All right.
Christopher
so
Bell. That was Christopher Bell.
Crew chief immediately said, let's make sure you don't have a flat tire. With a low air pressure tire, the car could travel more. And Christopher said the car changed that lap ahead.
You're right,
of that.
Lloyd.
So,
He does too.
Steve,
Fortunately,
if
there's
it's a
not
big
enough
if,
races
they
left.
have a flat tire. Well,
Too many drivers.
That practice was for nothing because you have no idea when you started losing air pressure. You absolutely, if it's a low tire, you essentially have to throw that entire practice away.
Yeah, because now you're wondering, well, I thought we just had to make the car better, but if we're chasing a leaking tire, are we as far off as we thought? And that's going to make for a sleepless night.
And what's the fresh memory of this?
Dylan, it's on the
It's
NBC
12 of
Sports
last
app.
weekend,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Where he ended up in the wall and had to go to a backup car. So great heads-up advice there for the 20. If you think it is, bring it. Let's err on the side of caution. Let's bring it to pit road and we'll check it.
Now, the other side of that is you come in, there is no low tire.
Zane Smith
Then
now
what do you do?
20
Now
laps.
we're not fast,
Still the
and
fastest.
the car all of a sudden changed. So what are you dealing with now?
So the Joe Gibbs 20 team will check that as we go to RFK Racing's Fastenal Ford. Here's Chris Buescher.
So no, AJ Allmendinger's
Chris
still
in
the
lineup.
20,
He's
fastest
fourth
20 lap
on overall
average.
speed.
I don't know if that's right or not. Bronny, I don't think the 20 lap average is right.
Dependent right now. Still trying to find something. Keep working line dependent. Keep working around here. We're 21 laps in a run.
Yeah, he's just they don't have the pace that they need to have right now. And Chris knows that.
Yeah,
He
right.
doesn't have
The
to
pit
look at. He
crew
doesn't have
did
to know
not
other
let
people's
him.
lap
Did not
time.
very.
He knows his car is not
The
driving
pit
the
crew
way he
did
needs
not
to drive.
help him in a bit.
But they're not going to fix
last
that
race.
right now, Steve. So this is a driver, your opportunity to go try other things, see how you can influence the way the car drives.
Had that open-ended, like,
Yeah,
you want me
the
to, you
14
have something you want to
zip,
try?
14 car,
I can bring the
yeah,
car
it's
to
good.
you. But that shows the experience of the team. Those are 20 laps.
No, it's on
tires. Whatever
NBC
we
Sports
try is gonna be a
app.
waste
You have
of
to
time.
have a,
So I'm
a
okay if you say,
subscription
hey, I don't need to run
to
anymore.
like
but
Xfinity
don't
or
bring it
something
in
like
here
that.
if you think I have something I want to put on the car and try with 6 minutes left and old tires.
So explain why you can't learn anything on old tires.
Yeah, I mean, just because these tires, one,
6
they have
minutes
very
left
little
in
grip.
Group
Two,
B
they're already
practice. We'll
built up
move
and
into
biased to
qualifying
whatever
next.
handling issue you have right
Good
now.
morning.
They cycle very
What's up,
differently.
backyard?
So in the Xfinity Series, maybe I would make a change because with the limited tires, you might have to have a restart on older
hit that
tires. But in
like,
the
yo,
Cup
there's
Series,
100 likes.
every
Thank
time
you
a
guys
yellow
so
comes
much.
out, unless we have an unbelievable rash of yellows, you're going to get a brand new set of tires, and the car just fires off and drives differently.
There you go, Lloyd. I hope so, buddy.
All right, let's go back to Christopher Bell and keep that investigation open. Dave, what's the latest?
Lee reported the car tight, reported the car hit the ground, brought the car to pit road. Crew chief Adam Stevens just told me the right front was indeed down. So, Jeff, your worst fears, a wasted practice perhaps for Christopher Bell and the 20 team.
Yeah, and that's
Not that he
now,
needs practice. He's pretty
what you
dang
have
good
to
here.
do is you have to kind of rely on your teammates. You know, what kind of practice did you guys have? What were you feeling? The reason why is because you don't know when the air pressure started to leak. And when you start having air come out of a tire, it completely changes the way the car drives. And so what did you learn in this practice? And Steve, this is where leadership really, really matters. This is where leadership, understanding how you look at data, understanding how you use your teammates' information, this is when crew chiefs really earn their pay right here.
Well, and that's why you have to have so many engineers and so many people. Remember, his 3 teammates, the 11, the 19, and the 54, were all in the first group. So the track would have been a little different. So now you have to understand where your car setup is versus those three. There's just a lot of details that go into that. And you need to know that before you ever got here, right? Whether you were going to lean on them or not, you needed to have all that time and
just
all that.
Just coming in. My name is CeeLo. Welcome in, guys.
He got to turn 17 laps.
That'll be on Fox Sports 1
to pit road. There's 4 minutes left in this session, and he is the second playoff driver with an issue today. The other one being Joey Logano and that suspected power steering issue.
We talk a lot
Logano
about
doesn't have nothing to worry about.
Championship winning time, but everybody's still racing, and this 14 car, much like the 10 car his teammate in the first practice, he is a standout. If you look at lap times, I could make a case that he has the best race car on the racetrack. That includes the 5 of Larson.
Briscoe, baby.
This lap obviously is going to get slow because he had to get by the 31. But if you look at the laps prior to that, this 14 car was better than everybody on the racetrack.
He's yet to have a top 15 result here in Homestead.
You're welcome, Backyard.
So let's see if that turns around this weekend. It's certainly off to a positive start.
Very unique line right there, Steve.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is you mentioned his teammate Noah Grigson, who was
that's what it'll be, random. You're right.
Noah, I just assumed that Noah was making it look good because he was right on the wall.
He's my dark
horse,
y'all.
14 is kind of all over the racetrack, yet still able to pass cars and really still able to keep his lap time up.
I finally went with a real dark horse.
Down, actually. I have Byron probably even a little better than Larson.
Larson's been running the very bottom of the racetrack.
You're welcome, Dylan.
Briscoe drives.
They threw Logano a bone.
Kind of the bottom, not really the bottom, and then up to the wall.
2 minutes left here in Group B practice.
Start on the bottom, end on the top. I needed every bit of racetrack.
Hayden says Bell wins easy.
Right in front of the 14. This is, you talked about it earlier. You really have to look at what
17 in the
people are
22,
doing to
Mark.
analyze lap time. So he is going to go slower down there, especially off of 4. Leaving the bottom on 4, there is no speed over there. You can make it work off of 2. But 4, it is really difficult. Larson's just backed off. He's not even.
I wonder if he wants to see what this 14 is doing.
Maybe, yeah.
He might run a lap behind the 14.
Larson loves this place. Maybe
talk about the 14, but he's nowhere in the top 20 on speed.
I wish we could come to Homestead a couple of times a year. It's that much fun.
He's getting on pit road right here.
So Briscoe 22
Not too many were able to do what he did last year.
Fastest.
He was able to make the high line
NASCAR
work
fan
and
is
the low line work.
And you wonder if that's not the field he just tried right there.
NBC Sports app, T-Vince says you go with the dark horse every week with Hamlin.
You don't care about the lap time. You know your car's good. You know you're good. Your team's good. It truly is gathering data. So Larson might have said, I remember how my car felt around the bottom last year. Let me just go run 3 laps and see if it has any of those characteristics. And that's why, you were asking about Bell coming back here. We talk a lot about confidence coming to the racetrack and all these things. But sometimes what we don't talk about enough is that, do you as a race car driver really know how a car should feel? Now, you want to drive good. That's easy. But there's this feel, Jeff, right? But then finally you go to that track one time and you have the dominant car and you register in your mind how that car felt. And then you kind of have a goal to adjust to.
Oh, thank you, Mark. Scott.
Right along with Suarez.
What's up, brother?
Right here.
Good to see you.
Currently 11th fastest in this group.
Good afternoon to you, right? Maybe good evening.
I do not think he is happy with his car on old tires.
Gonna keep those teams happy.
He enjoyed a little bit of sweetness last weekend, fellas. Led 57 laps. Top 3 finish. That felt pretty good
NASCAR Sports
for the one-time playoffs driver.
Just for comparison, that last lap by Suarez, a 35 flat on lap 32. Keep talking about Briscoe on lap 32, a 34.
See what happens, Gary.
40. So over half a second faster. And we'll see that at this racetrack, Steve. We'll see some guys that flat out hit it during the race, and they are flying. And in practice, the 14 has it.
And there it is, the red flag for Group B practice. This will go by pretty quick because there's no commercials.
So there you have it. It was a short period, but a valuable period for both groups. 20 minutes each of practice here at Homestead to get the day going before we then click over into qualifying mode.
One a.m. I knew it was good evening.
An abbreviated session for Christopher Bell, defending race winner here at Homestead.
Some news we don't normally get this week, Jeff. We have a official adjustment to the finishing order of a race. Bobby Allison credited for his 85th win. Now, I love Bobby because in his Hall of Fame speech, he made sure everybody...
All right, so Tyler Reddick, Ross Chastain, Bubba Wallace, Michael McDowell, Brad Keselowski were your top 5 fastest. And according to the NASCAR, you guys can also go to your NASCAR app, and it breaks it down in overall 5-lap, 10-lap, 15-lap finishes. Overall, if this is correct, AJ Allmendinger, overall practice fastest. Noah Gragson, Justin Haley, that's an interesting one. Tyler Reddick, Michael McDowell, Denny Hamlin, Bubba Wallace, Ryan Blaney, Truex, and Keselowski is your top 10 overall fastest in practice. So there you go. All right, back to it.
Lee, one style of Cup Series car these days, and they all have to have air up in all
Bell.
4 tires. Was that practice a wash based on the right front going down?
It's going to be hard to say, but I don't think so. I think we got a number of competitive laps, and yeah, we learned a little bit, but I'm very thankful that I was able to catch it, and you know, these guys gave me good direction to bring it in, because if you drag the underbody on these cars, it's pretty much a weekend ruiner. So I think we got away with one there.
Didn't quite get away with one last week. You're a little frustrated about that. How'd you get over having to give up what you thought was going to be maybe a Vegas win?
Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing, but you know, whenever you close the chapter on that Monday night, and you realize that you're sitting here plus 42, we feel good about where we're at, and we know that at Homestead and at Martinsville, we're going to have to basically do the same thing we did. We're going to have to be competing for wins, getting stage points, and having good races. So, yeah, I think that practice was very productive for us. The car wasn't exactly where we needed it to be. Still had good pace, for the 1-lap speed. So, yeah, I think it was productive practice for us.
Can you describe that one lap where you said it was tight, and then the next lap where you're like, I'm hitting the track and saving it?
Well, yeah, so all practice long, like, my hands were super, super steady, and that's generally a sign that you're too tight here. And then all of a sudden, like, the corner before, I go in there and I'm having to add some corrections to it. And then whenever I got into 3 and 4, there's a little bit of roughness, and I hit the track. And I didn't even hit the track on low air pressure whenever we took off, so I knew that wasn't a good indication, and they said just bring it in, and fortunately we did before we drug the underbody.
Thank you. Nice save, and good luck in qualifying.
Thank you.
Jeff, that's not easy to do, right?
Christopher Bell, man.
I think it's,
He's good.
Awareness is really important, and not being in denial.
Where's Big Wade
I
at?
also thought it was interesting. He felt like he didn't, that practice wasn't a complete waste, right? They had some few laps,
All right,
and he felt pretty good about it.
Again.
I think what you can do, Steve, is you can assume the first few laps, first 3 or 4 laps, the tire was good. At that point, you don't know when it started to leak, because I know it all of a sudden more air was coming out of it because it was traveling more. But when did the slow leak start? That's the part that you don't know.
And you may have seen the news earlier this week, and it's sad news of the sudden passing of Alan Miller. Alan was a very prominent attorney in the world of motorsports and sport, and a sports agent that represented and assisted many of the drivers who many of your favorite drivers and athletes, and certainly had a really significant period and position within the sport. So it's with sad news that we pass on our condolences to Alan's family. He certainly helps some of the biggest names in the sport onto greater and bigger things, and managed many careers of drivers that you know and love. So our thoughts are with Alan's family.
All right, so Mark says, as good as a racer Denny is, he seems to choke and overdrive when he gets a chance to being a champion. That story of my fanship with Denny, man. Always a bridesmaid, never a bride. We'll see how it goes. hopefully we can get in that final championship 4, but we'll see how it goes. It's been kind of a crazy thing with the lawsuit and just everything in general with bad pit stops and everything for Denny, but we'll see how it goes. So we're getting ready for qualifying. There is your Group A qualifying match here. Let's do it really quick. Who do you think is going to be your fastest 5 in this Group A practice, Group A qualifying? I'm going to go Reddick. Gregson. Reddick, Gregson, Chastain, and heck, let's do Denny. And here's Logano.
Probably have to take a look at that after qualifying, which, yeah, it's not one of the approved changes, I don't believe. So we'll have to figure that one out later. But we can still qualify for a starting spot or a pit stall at least. And I think our Hunt Brothers Pizza Mustang is pretty good on the long run. It's kind of where we've been. We're good on the long run, not so great on the short run. So we'll try to give the short run some loving for tomorrow and get the power steering working as well.
So wait, can you trust it?
Says Mark's correct.
Sure. Sure. Say a prayer. Hopefully it works. I don't know. I mean, you just got to go down there and then assume it's going to work. It didn't completely shut off on me, so it's just kind of tightening up. So it's still drivable at the end. You get nervous because it never hit a plateau. It's just still progressing and getting worse. So I think I'll be fine for qualifying. And then we'll figure it out later.
All right, be careful with that. Crew Chief Paul Wolf did tell me they inspected it. Physically, it didn't have anything leaking or the data all looked good. So from all those standpoints, I guess Joey can trust it.
It's amazing how problems seem like not such big problems when you won last week and you know you're going home to Phoenix to win a championship, try to win a championship. Completely different mindset than if you were here in the battle. And, he mentioned that he doesn't think that's on the approved change list. So if they do have to change it, he could have to go to the back and qualify and essentially start dead last. So he didn't seem to mind it too much, Steve.
Well, let's show you what power steering failure looks like at Miami Speedway, and this isn't even
power steering failure for Joey Logano.
Last year, Denny Hamlin had a car he thought was good enough to make it in the championship for right there, a steering failure into the wall, heavy hit. He actually complained a little bit about some shoulder plane right on board.
That was
his end, the championship 4 right
race.
there.
He was a regular front runner, and immediately, Stevie, he radioed in and said something happened in the steering.
So now we have Joey Logano who has to go do this at another, 8 or 10 miles an hour faster in qualifying. So I'll say it time and time again.
Joshua is speaking as a true NASCAR fan.
Some of the biggest names in the sport.
All right, here we go.
So normal most of the time.
Chad Fincham in that 66 RFK.
Into a car that has some sort of potential mechanical issue and just, laugh and chuckle and trust it as he drives down into turn 1.
Let's get qualifying going. Here's Chad Fincham in the 66 to get things rolling for the 38 cars.
66, Fincham.
About a second faster than he ran in practice. So get some comfort with the car.
Sharir says, I don't like Denny Hamlin. He's not going to get it.
A.J. Allmendinger. We told you
Here
earlier.
Here comes A.J. Allmendinger.
Times of a week ago, locked into the Xfinity Series Championship 4. Final cup race of the season here. And everything's a little bit lighter right now. You can have a little bit more fun with that focal point being a couple of weeks away in Phoenix.
Does Dinger ever have fun?
Yeah.
I mean, he's celebrated, but like in a race car, he is intense. And I appreciate it. It's just not really his personality. Like when he gets behind the wheel, it's all on go.
You ever played golf with him?
I'm scared to after seeing how he is in a race car. I don't imagine what it's like on their golf course.
I've played a lot of golf with him. He gets pretty intense on the course as well.
Does he start talking to himself?
He does, but you can make him laugh as the Dinger goes to the top for Corlick Racing.
32.637 for A.J. Allmendinger.
Or does he?
He does.
He's on the top.
He does
here.
talk about himself in the third person. Usually when he's.
And Mark said the Denny, Logano,
shot, but he's a terrific
Ty, McDowell,
Shockingly,
Dinger.
much like Richmond, another high-wear racetrack for tires, Austin Dillon numbers at Homestead are better than his average mile and a half. Right?
Austin
4 top
Dillon
10s on his last 5 starts. Didn't look great in practice today. But, we'll see if that parlays into the race or whether he has something that he can manage as the race goes.
I'll tell you a good story. His Carolina Cowboys finished second in the PBR championship last weekend.
He was fired up out there in Vegas. I ran into him on Friday. He didn't want to talk about the race car. He wanted to tell me exactly how the PBR worked, the brackets, the entertainment, who had buys, who had passes.
Austin goes to the top, 32.597 to eclipse A.J. Allmendinger. Here's Eric Jones.
Eric Jones.
Finished third here.
That Dollar
Best
Tree
finish,
43.
2019. And this team needs something good to happen to them. They have, seems like every time they turn around, something's happening. A lot of changes going on over there at that company. Trying to go into next year with better opportunity to be successful than they had this year. I think they will be, Steve. I think the new association with Toyota, that's a big change, right? And I think
if
some changes are needed, obviously, but I think they will be better.
Dillon wouldn't have wrecked Logano, Logano would have been in the playoffs. That's how close it was.
You know, it's like, hey.
And there would have been any controversy with Bowman.
The joint. Won a whole bunch of championships, and they named the tunnel for me down here in Miami. Like, it's got to be a
little things here at NASCAR is what
in that
changes things all the place. Keep hitting that like, keep hitting that subscribe, y'all.
200th of a second faster than Austin Dillon to go to the top. Here's Josh Berry.
Josh Berry.
Big week, turned 34. Birthday week, you'd like to celebrate it with a decent run.
Oh, Desert Fox, you changed your, you went from the 8 to the 5.
For the Stuart Haas driver.
First time he's been here in a Cup car.
Hey, this is going the right way. This looks good. And we saw two particularly good performances from his teammates earlier in practice. More than 0.2 of a second ahead.
Wow.
Josh Berry is going to go right to the top.
32.383. Josh Berry.
Every car on the racetrack has gone faster than the car before it. And I don't want to take away from anybody's efforts, but it makes me wonder, is the track somehow or another, Steve, actually with cars off the racetrack, is the track cooling down a little bit? Is that possible? It's very odd to see
bad breath.
The car go faster than the car before it.
Well, it was a 32.35 to sit on the pole last year, so we'll see what kind of overall speed the track has in it. I wonder if that lap for Berry's just not, if we're not giving the credit he deserves. That's a pretty good lap, really good lap.
Martin Truex Jr. sat on the pole here a year ago. Brad Keselowski.
Look at this, all the way to the bottom of the racetrack.
And he's getting that time back.
Yeah, but it's going down the straightaway is where it's going to hurt it. Can roll through the middle really, really good like that, but it hurts you on corner exit.
Second for Keselowski.
Wow, 32.465, Keselowski.
Pick up the first team Penske. Ford.
Austin
Cindric.
It's going to be Reddick
practice
or Bell.
This guy will push
but
the
Bell's having an
qualifying.
issue right now, so maybe not.
Goes fast.
Austin Cindric.
He looked loose.
Yeah. Freightliner Ford is in the green, but it just tips the other way, ever so slightly. Whoa!
Man, how close he is to the wall. It's crazy.
Near the speed you would expect to see.
Reddick, Chastain, Wallace, Gibbs, Larson, Dalton says.
Other two are in this session as well, so quickly that information will have to get to the two car to the others.
So just think back a few years.
On the season. Michael McDowell, six times a pole winner this year. And the front row Motorsports Ford starts the lap pretty well, already a 10th up, but he's losing time.
Would be in the grandstands. Here's Michael McDowell. They don't call him front row Motorsports for nothing.
Time stable, Steve, and now he's starting to get some back.
So we'll see right here. He gave some back on the entry. Will he get
it
back
back appreciate
on the
it, buddy.
Exit with the higher one? He will.
And there you go. No surprise to see Michael McDowell qualify well, but it's not the quickest. He's in P3 at the moment, and still to qualify, to qualify Denny Hamlin. He's with Dave.
That's right, Bobby.
And he was 8th in one-lap times in practice there. Did you get the kind of feel you like at Homestead in that practice?
It was close. Still got some tweaking to do, certainly, but overall the Mavis Kramer is pretty decent. Just got to tweak on the short run and obviously do my job out here in qualifying.
If they tweak it right and he does his job, be fast in qualifying, guys.
He's in the green, Bronny.
This car was so fast in race trim in practice. We'll see what he has in qualifying. A little surprised at the line. I guess there's enough grip in the tires to just run lower. We'll see what he runs down here. All right, this is more where I thought they would be. Noah really likes to run higher up on the racetrack.
Out of the two groups in
green,
practice, he was just outside the top 10 in 11th. This looks good. He's going to match his teammate Josh Berry here.
P2.
Up to second. So Stuart Haas Ford's first and second.
Stuart Haas.
Nicely done.
If I remember correctly, did Stuart Haas run well at Darlington?
Will that be good enough to lock him in the top 5?
Chili's machine. I'm eating a lot of chips and salsa at Chili's, Diff. Good chips and salsa.
Justin Haley has been pretty open about saying as he has a monster lap going here, almost 2/10 to the good.
Yeah, Briscoe finished, he won, and then Gregson finished 14th.
Tougher, meaning just the workload in the
and Barry
transition,
finished third.
teams mid-season. There's been a lot to get his head around. New spotter, new crew chief, new personnel, going back to a team he once drove for, but he's showing that he's handling it by going right to the top.
Look at Justin Haley. Let's go, son. P1.
32.375, and the quickest so far.
And there was a time with this organization where Corey LaJoie, the original kind of pilot of this 7, made the second round for the first time. It was a big moment. And how quickly we forget when an organization grows like
Chili's,
that.
Chevrolet.
To your point, Diff, new spotter, really good. There was an accident the 7 got into. Justin Haley was like, man, I know what you were saying.
That trying to get a 200 likes.
Communication
590 in here.
Even the vernacular, just
help us hit that like
so
button
many different
for us.
details.
200 likes.
Nice.
What's up, Bill? Good to see you from Canada.
All right, let's check in with the most recent Kansas winner. Here's Ross Chastain.
After this quick pause,
Evan.
Ross will take his qualifying lap. About 4th in line here. What do you expect out of the one car based on practice?
I think a lot of speed for Kubota Chevy. Right off the rip here, it was the long run we got to worry about, but that's for tomorrow's worries. Right now, go rip a lap here and commit, a lot of throttle. It's awesome to be home. Close to Fort Myers, you get to see the family, breakfast with all 4 of my grandparents yesterday. So coming into the weekend just feels good to be home, and but now I get to go hold my breath for a lap.
Lee Diffie has a quick question, if you will. Diff, go ahead.
Hey, Davo, he recently went to the Florida Watermelon Association convention in Fort Myers. Ask him how it was.
Watermelon Association convention in Fort Myers. How was that? And were you recognized?
Yeah, over in Sanibel. Yeah, everybody in the Florida Watermelon Association, everybody involved in watermelons that ships and sells out of Florida was there, and they're still there, crowning our 2025 Watermelon Queen that you'll see at the track and at promotions across the state and the country.
5 from each one,
yeah, everybody got together. We had a lot of good fellowship and a good dinner last night, and just a lot of people that believed in me before anybody else in the world knew who Ross Chastain was. They're the main reason you saw watermelons on these race cars.
Lee, you love it when you can go thank those folks, and he did it in person.
Can you imagine the joy they feel when they see him go to victory lane and get pick a watermelon up and smash it? Cool stuff.
Ross Chastain. Those watermelons in the chat, yo.
Overall field, it's the track house.
So, yeah, so the top 5 will advance to the second round there.
Got Chastain in, fell short with Suarez this year, right? Suarez in, Chastain out. I think that's the next move for Trackhouse, to try to find the year where they can get them both. Now, they both won a race,
Mark,
but that race for Chastain came really too late to get him into the playoffs.
Chase Briscoe chatting with MRN's Dave Moody. What kind of difference do you think it's going to make going to a 3-car operation?
I think there are going to be, much like Justin Haley said about going to Spire, the things he didn't appreciate and stuff he didn't.
Thank you, guys.
I remember at Hendrick Motorsports, we were
Ty
3 cars
Gibbs,
forever,
legend
and
in
after the 01 championship with Gordon, we went to 4 cars with Jimmy Johnson. And there were times throughout the year where you just forgot what adding a car did. Even an organization that big with that
legend
many
in
people.
training.
So
Where's Aaron Church at?
They know when they're going to try to be as prepared as possible, but they're going to overlook something. It's natural. You can't be perfect. So I do think there's going to be a learning curve. Now there's going to be some places when you unload, to think you have 3 cars is going to be an advantage.
Talking about multi-car teams, here's Joe Gibbs Racing. Ty Gibbs in the monster Toyota Camry. His lap is on, and he's just snuck into the green.
Carried a lot of speed into turn 1.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it.
See what his approach is up here. Just right to the middle of the racetrack. As a driver, it's very odd. You have to get to the top sooner at this racetrack than you do most mile and a half. You almost don't turn it right to get up there, but you got to have the discipline to not
to the turn.
Keep turning the wheel. You have to let the car roll up to the top so you can stay in the gas and keep that momentum to get that front straightaway speed.
So it's a Chevrolet.
E3 for Gibbs. Here's Harrison Burton.
Leads a Toyota in the top 3 at the moment. Enter the Dex Imaging Ford for Wood Brothers. Here's Harrison Burton.
Had Green coming to the speed, gave a little up on corner entry, but still very close, within reach. A good 3 and 4 can move him into the top 5. We'll see what his approach is.
Just about a 1/10 of a second off at the moment.
So if you run the top, you have to give up time going in. The problem is it's just
Awesome,
not
Jamie.
coming back. Well, it's pausing now, and it's coming back, but you're going to hit the start-finish
bro.
line. That's where it's funny, because if the start-finish line was on the other side, it'd be no doubt in my mind you'd run the top of what is now 3
Good luck
and 4,
today.
but you just don't get the gain back. I'm actually not. I'm more surprised people aren't running the tippity top coming to the green.
And so it's interesting speed on the 21 right there with Cindric. So
Bubba.
2 Penske cars left to go behind them. Still tons of information going to those 2 cars because neither one were happy with their Q laps.
Which is kind of shocking, because I would have said years ago that Penske's signature was the short run. Like in general, you know, what's their thumbprint? Their thumbprint in at Richmond and here is they're going to beat you on the short run, you're going to beat them on the long run. And here the last couple weeks, it has really completely swapped.
23.11's Bubba Wallace has got a monster lap going here. This looks really good for the McDonald's machine. Right to the top.
P1.
32.
Mark sent Bubba in his top 5.
Sure is.
So what do we say in practice? To me, the goal for Bubba Wallace and this team is to have the same pace as Tyler Reddick, his teammate, because Tyler is so
38,
fast here.
Thank
Just
you,
in for
MJW.
Ross Chastain.
Appreciate
Here
it.
is the
Thank you so
Kubota
much.
Chevy for Trackhouse Racing. Let's get it going.
Thanks so much, MJW. Appreciate it.
It's tight. Car doesn't turn the way he wants it to turn.
Did Bush go yet? No, he's in Group B qualifying. Thank you.
I don't think Ross is going to love
still
this
only
lap
9:10 in the morning.
5 or so still to go. This lap's going to, man, he's going to be starting deep in the field.
Puts in 7th in this group.
And I'm assuming the playoff cars, assuming the next 5 all have the pace to beat him.
7th fastest.
It's going to be somewhere outside the top 20.
Truex is up next, followed by Ryan Blaney, Tyler Reddick, Denny Hamlin, and Joey Logano, who is already locked in
for the last
to the
time
championship
qualifying.
4. Here we go with Martin.
3 races left the rest of this season. So Truex into this year, not going to run full time anymore. This is a racetrack I feel like he could get a win. I always feel like he runs fast here and likes moving around.
You know what? You know the way luck will have it. He won't win any race in these next 3. He'll come back part-time to do the Daytona 500 next year and win.
Look at this corner exit speed.
Have a good night, man.
Truex.
We'll see you later on.
To second.
In the morning.
For the record, I'd be okay with it if I was smart tricks.
Yeah, of course. A little bit of feedback there from James Small, crew chief to Martin Truex. So it's Toyota 1 and 2 at the moment as we pick up the second Team Penske Ford. Now, is Ryan Blaney's pace going to be emblematic of the 2 who have come before with the sister team with Harrison Burton and Wood Brothers and Austin Cindric? Or is it going to be better? Is it going to be up near the Stewart Haas Fords?
So far,
It's
better.
Monsters, what's going on, man?
This car
Good to see you.
pointed
Good
in the
morning.
middle of 1 and 2. Better than what I thought Cindric's car did.
First playoff car we've seen.
Getting the long way.
Blaney has to have a perfect weekend here.
Where
Perfect.
disappointment. Ryan Blaney out of the top 5. He's
And that's
8th.
not how to start it.
No grip, man. Nothing.
No grip.
Sometimes.
So far, you've got 3 Toyotas, 1 Ford, 1 Chevy in the top 5.
I mean, they start at 1:30.
Tyler Reddick on track.
That's
This
Central
car has
Time.
grip.
Here's Tyler Reddick.
Extra. An abundance of grip at this
3
point.
p.m. We'll be on at 2:30.
Almost 0.2 of a second to the good. This is a great lap so far. Tyler Reddick is going to match his teammate Bubba Wallace here. Could be
3
a 23,
Toyotas in
11,
the top
1, 2.
5.
To the line with a huge lap. Look at that.
Wow, 32.126.
Teammates first and second.
23:11, baby.
Teammates first and second, and all playoff drivers need a good run.
All right, Denny.
Okay, in
Join
the
your
points, but
boys
a
up there.
spark.
Let's go.
I feel like this 11 just needs a spark to kind of get it going the right way. Even qualifying, I think, would get it done. If he could go out here and qualify on the pole or the front row, maybe that would be enough.
As a crew chief, is that
in the
even
green
for the morale, like just to help the gang?
Sometimes you just need to get kind of knocked out of your fog.
Yeah.
You know, the season's so long, you can kind of
Back in the
walk
red
through
down the
motions.
back stretch into
Whoa,
turn
that car
3.
bottomed out,
Yeah,
getting
that's
in
right.
the corner.
Come on.
Getting some time
Oh,
back.
yeah, there you go.
Getting time back.
Come
Here comes
on,
Hamlin. It's in the
green.
green. How about this
There
lap?
you go.
Danny Hamlin puts it
P4.
in fourth.
And all
And that is
Toyota top
Cameras
5.
1, 2, 3, and 4.
That'll lock him in.
Oh, my goodness.
Pipe, that's not what we do here, my friend.
Yeah, we saw Denny.
That's
into
not
turn
what we
3 and
do
on
here,
out.
sorry.
We saw it. Watch right here off the back of the car. You're going to see just a little bit of smoke. He kind of goes over the bumps. That's pretty normal. But as he turns down in 3, I think it's the diffuser that hits.
So Denny, P4.
Boom.
Yeah, we see it.
I think he will. I don't think Logano has anything.
Logano.
Potential steering issues. We heard that in practice. He said he was going to go out and just trust it.
Yeah, just not the pace. None of the Penske's have had the pace in qualifying trim. They all look pretty decent in race trim, but it will. Blaney's going to qualify. He'll start the race 20th. Logano 26th.
Yikes.
Maybe Pitts 26
Logano just
start the race last. If they have to
Logano
change
just
that
out
steering
there
component.
getting the lap.
Although now as a crew chief starting that far back, there's zero concern. If there's any question in NASCAR will let you change it, I would be changing all the steering on this 22 car.
Logano has
Somebody who
nothing to
showed
worry
good
about.
pace in practice.
He's in.
Was Spire Motorsports' Zane Smith. He's standing by with Dave.
Lee, I think that means that his power steering was working, the gas pedal was working, everything was working on the 71. What was that lap all about?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of me putting some focus on to the start of practice, pretend we're qualifying. So obviously a really good, well-cared Chevy that Spire Motorsports prepared. Excited for tomorrow. This is probably one of the best mile and a half cars I've had all year. So always love coming here. Always been a good place for me. So excited for it.
How tight is it then in qualifying? You and I were just talking about that. It just seems like you've really got to step up that part of your game if you're going to be close.
Yeah, I mean, track position is literally everything.
It is,
These cars
Adam.
drive completely different from when you get inside the top 10, top 15. So trying to position yourself there for Sunday completely changes your day. So need to have a good lap here and set ourselves up for a good weekend.
All right, good luck. Tyler Reddick laid down the gauntlet. Zane Smith will have something to say about it, Lee.
Yeah.
So
good
Reddick,
start.
Wallace,
Well done.
Truex, Hamlin, Haley.
Feels positive about this place.
4
Has good
Toyotas
memories.
and 1 lone
Still
Chevy in the
working
top
on
5.
mile-and-a-half speed. Martin Truex Jr. on a mission. He's right in the middle of the top 5 from his group. Well done. In a, as we said, a very much
He's passionate,
Toyota Camry
Shahir.
dominated session. Hamlin with 4th fastest speed. We'll see him in the next phase of quali. Maybe that's that spark, Steve. Maybe that's that spark.
Yeah.
Get through
There's our
to
man DJ down there.
All it takes is one little spark, right?
They're not talking about motorsport. They're talking about golf.
If you know, you know.
Yeah. Well, just how low can you stand it? Short run. Yeah.
No, that right there is talking about qualifying. How low can you stand it? So basically, the way these cars make grip, the way they make downforce. The old car, it was to push the spoiler up in the
Haley,
air.
then he
The
gets
new car,
Ronnie
it's
next
to push
year.
the diffuser down against the ground. That's why these cars are built the way they are. That's why they're inspected the way they are. That's why there's rub blocks, there's travel limiters, because the closer the diffuser gets to the ground, the more it squishes the air, which speeds
There
it
we go.
up, which pulls it
JJ
from underneath
Yaley.
the car, and it just sucks the
You
car
got
to the
Bowman
ground
Nation,
like a
Patrick.
vacuum.
Good to see you.
What Denny was saying right there
it
to
was
DJ
awesome,
was how
George.
low can you stand
doing
it?
it
Because that
tonight,
was,
too.
did you see into 3, everything's great. We qualified inside the top 5, but I don't know,
Morning.
a couple 100,000 slower, does the bottoming out so severe that you get into the wall? You do that with air pressure and a lot of different adjustments.
And if the folks at home are wondering, when you see the diffuser, that carbon fiber diffuser scrape like that, does that do much damage or it's not a big deal?
Well, I mean, it does some damage. I think you know you're going to drag some of it off, so it's not a big deal. You get to a point where you're dragging off more than your competitors, and it does start to hurt downforce. Because remember, the air tire, the rear tires gain air pressure, and then it comes up off the ground.
Yep. 11 o'clock. We'll be on at like 10:55.
Half a dozen starts this season, and he's going to get us going for Group 2. And the reference point is the fastest time from Group 1, Tyler Reddick, at a 32.1. There's a lap just under
exclamation point, redeem, go
That's
Denny.
A decent lap, though. You think about this team doesn't run very much. It's very hard to go against
meat
these
and
guys that race
bones.
every single week. And
As
that's a
Gralla.
pretty decent lap, considering that.
Well, it's not far off Austin Cindric's lap.
Exactly.
Big hitters getting ready to go out. You're right, William.
Kaz Gralla, the meat and bone machine on track.
Love those yellow wheels.
Kaz Gralla's plans for next year. Kaz has done a nice job in this car when he's had a chance to run it.
It's going to be a pretty good lap right here for this.
Where's my Larson fans at?
So it's going to be in that maybe in the mid 32s. We'll see. Up against Kaz Gralla, 32.6 for Kaz. As he leapfrogs JJ Yaley next
Todd
out
Gilliland.
on track. Let's keep it
Stacey
rolling.
can't show you the race. Can't show you the
Front Row
broadcast.
Motorsports, Todd Gilliland.
I want to talk about a driver that's fallen in love with golf. You mentioned DJ and Denny Hamlin. This guy right here spends a lot of time on the golf course. I think he's a great young talent. I love his attitude behind the race car. He just appreciates every conversation I have when we're talking about the tough conversations, not running well, the negatives, the mistakes, whatever it may be. His perspective on it, Jeff, I think is right for his age. He believes he has his best years ahead of him, and he understands a lot of that's part of the learning process.
Trying to
right
get
here, you
to
can see the lap
200
time
likes
going the
this
wrong way.
morning.
This is this team's issue.
Yes.
Help us get
I mean,
there,
they
y'all.
race well, but Saturdays do not go well for them. They dig themselves a hole, and it's very hard to get out of it. So just not good qualifying. That's something that Michael McDowell leaving this team.
Stacey, you have to have a
Michael has been a very good qualifier, but that hasn't translated.
Subscription to a cable.
So next year, I think that will have to be a point of emphasis on how does this team qualify better.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Positive start to the lap.
Some new colors on the Kroger machine. Got some yellow in the middle of this thing.
Recky.
Look at the hood.
Shuddering of the hood there. 0.3 of a second to the good for Stenhouse. So far, so good. And it's getting even better. Better and better, and right up against
hit the wall.
Wow, that was close.
I'll give him credit for all track used a 27. That would be good enough in the first round to make the top
The
five.
NBC Sports
wow.
app.
He had good pace in the practice too. I watched some of his lap times, like mid race run lap times were really competitive.
To Daniel
Stenhouse,
Hemrick
P1, and here's Daniel Hemrick.
with everybody going. Yikes, that was quite the lap from Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Best of Group 1, Tyler Reddick at a 32.1.
It's on the NBC Sports
Ricky
app.
Stenhouse at a 32.7. That's quite the pace early on in this second group.
And a lot goes into a qualifying lap, but that spot right here in the corner for Ricky Stenhouse, a car ago, I think he did have to breathe it a little bit looking at the lap time, not truly looking at the throttle position, but Jeff, it was just as much as required, no extra. I mean, he used every bit of racetrack.
Good lap there from Daniel Hemrick as well.
Well, the next car up, another SHR Ford. We'll see. I know it ended up being
Here's Ryan Preece.
8th, just outside the top 5, but they had decent pace. They are the fastest of the Fords.
Just to finish that point on Daniel Hemrick, his lap would have been good enough for a top 10 in Group 1. So some good early showings here in Group 2.
This car, much like Gilliland, they don't qualify very well, but in the race last week, this 41 car, there were times in the race he definitely had top 5 speed.
Look how rough this car is in the back. So when I talk about getting it low,
see if this Stuart Haas car has any.
It hit those bumps on the back
It don't look like it.
Continue to oscillate all the way down into the corner. That does not give a driver a good feel for the back of the race car.
Ryan Preece, 5th place speed at the moment, only quicker than JJ Yaley. Here comes Corey LaJoy.
Corey LaJoy.
Corey's done a nice job since sliding
Love
over to
those
Rickware
yellow
Racing.
wheels.
Last 3 races, 3 of the last 4 races, top 20s. I think that when you're driving for Rick Ware Racing at this point in their development, that's what you need, is you need consistency. Rick Ware and that team are doing a really nice job of bringing very competitive race cars to the racetrack, but not quite the funding or backing that some of the bigger teams have. So it's very important to have consistency. Bring cars home that aren't wrecked so that you can keep building that.
So Corey, that comparison was to the 5th place time of Ryan Preece, and Corey is able to leapfrog Preece to hold on to that 5th spot for the time being.
Because it's on USA, which I know is an
Saw
NBC.
some pretty swift speed earlier out of this 14.
Normally on USA, I guess that's why it's not on Peacock.
Of Chase Briscoe.
Here comes my dark horse, Chase Briscoe.
I know we're working on crowning a champion at the Cup Series, but it's going to be an emotional 3 weeks for this Stewart-Haas racing camp, right? Shutting down at the end of the year. So much has been built. They're back here, which is where Kevin Harvick won their championship in 2014. Just, I can't imagine.
I agree with you, Shreer. NBC is the best network, better than Fox.
That bump up there is real.
Didn't look as bad as Preece, though, right? Look at this.
That reminded me more of Denny Hamlin's moment.
There's
Comparison
Briscoe,
is to LaJoy, not to
5.
first, and it's good enough to go to P3 for Chase Briscoe for now. Nice lap.
I guess the good news to the field in the second round, there's only 2 Toyotas. I say that because they're 1 through 4 in the first round.
All right, let's see what he can do. He was excited
Zane
about
Smith,
his lap
fastest in practice.
Let's see if he can back it up.
Again, first ever Cup weekend here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Finishes practice, P1, starts his lap in the green. It's all very positive at the moment for Zane Smith. Lost a little time, just a bit. Can he get it back? He sure
back
is.
in the
It's
green.
trending the right direction. Stabilized. Should be good enough to
4th.
leapfrog his way, and does, to P4.
It sounds crazy. They were 10th fastest in practice. He'll be a little bit disappointed with that.
Anita.
Right? Still a good lap, but high expectations after practice.
Here's Hocevar.
Zane Smith's teammate at Spire. Carson Hocevar.
He won here last year in the Xfinity race. No, truck race. He won here last year in the truck race.
Won a long ways.
Anything but a traditional lap around here. I mean, where else do you drive in the corner and then just go to the wall and they're kind of in the middle of the corner? Very odd.
Trending in the right direction for Hocevar, though. Gets to the checkered flag.
P4.
And the clock says P4. He's had some outstanding qualifying performances this year in his rookie
that like
season.
for us, trying to get to 200 likes, y'all. There's over 800 folks in here.
A lot of drivers with a
Come
lot
on,
of
help us out.
Different skill
and
sets.
also,
We talk about
subscribe,
some managed races, Some have
subscribe.
feel on restarts. Everybody has a different thing. Denny Hamlin right there. He reminds me of a driver that's just always kind of thinking, a thinking man's driver. When I think of Hocevar, it's just raw speed.
Yeah.
Some of it has to be tempered perhaps at times, but I'd much rather have a guy that's really fast that has to make some adjustments and one that you try to pick up speed with.
So the guy who rolled off pit lane and said, "Watch me now," Ricky Stenhouse Jr. sets the pace with more on the driver of the 47. Here's Dave.
Lee, when you're from Olive Branch, Mississippi, you've got to support the home team. Look at the helmet this weekend for Ricky. Maybe that is the speed secret. We don't know, but the 47 still atop the board right now as 9 cars will go out in this next group of cars, the final group. Try to unseat him from the top. Maybe he can hang on and get to round 2 and maybe put Ole Miss on the pole.
In case you're wondering, it's an Ole Miss-Oklahoma showdown this weekend.
Stenhouse got the Ole Miss on his helmet.
I want to ask you so many questions, but I'm not going to.
18th in the country, almost big favorites, nearly a 3-touchdown favorite over Oklahoma. I'm sure Ricky will be watching.
On a more serious note, with JTG Doherty Racing, the crew went to Asheville just a couple of days ago, including Ricky, to help out in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. And the continuing work, there's so much of it in Western North Carolina. Everybody affected by those back-to-back hurricanes in Florida, in Georgia, in Tennessee, Western North Carolina. we can't, just because it's a few weeks ago in the rearview mirror, we can't forget about it, and certainly NASCAR and its teams has not forgotten and continues to do a lot. Joey Logano just said yesterday in his press conference, he said, I can't tell you about it yet, but with some of my partners, I'm surrounded by great people. He said, I've got some really exciting things coming in the works. I'll be able to tell you about it shortly.
Welcome,
where people
David.
have come to me and some of my partners
Top
have
5
said,
Group
just
A,
tell us what we can do. And he
was,
said, I'm going to announce that with some really cool things where he said, I'm not taking
Bubba
my
Wallace,
foot
Tyler
off
Reddick,
the help pedal. That's
Christopher
for sure.
Bell.
Well, it's amazing how many private citizens have stepped up to
Bubba
help.
Wallace, Tyler Reddick, Denny Hamlin,
non-government organizations. I mean, it has been
Justin
heartwarming
Haley.
to see people just raise their hand and
And who
say,
was the
okay,
other
I
one?
want to
Was it
help.
Toyota?
And it's still going on today, weeks after the tragedies, and it makes you proud to be part of this country.
Oh, there, Bronny got it.
On
Thank
track
you,
now as Group 2's qualifying
Truex, that's
continues.
right.
We've established the top 5 from Group 1. That's Tyler Reddick, his teammate Bubba Wallace, Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, and Justin Haley. We'll see them again in the top 10 showdown. That's where John Hunter Nemechek would like to be, but he's a tenth of a second off the top 5 at the moment.
The new junior Stenhouse.
Family Dollar Machine is getting some time back, but it won't be enough.
That's cool, Anita.
7th for Nemechek. So we just
7th
watched Chase
for
Briscoe
Nemechek.
in his run, and he sits in the middle of the top 5 at the moment. Let's hear from him.
Yep, and Nemechek didn't knock him down. Can you hang on in the first group here and move on to the final round, do you think?
Yeah, I don't think it'll hang on. I would love for it to. Our car, our Z4 Dark Horse is extremely, extremely strong on the long run. The short run's kind of been our one thing where we just haven't had quite the speed as some of the other guys. But, yeah, I feel like if I can start in the first, top 15, I would feel really good about it. So, yeah, see what we got. We definitely have a really, really good car for tomorrow, I think. Just see where this stacks up after qualifying.
Lee, I could only give him 15 lap averages, but he said, hey, if you go to 20 or 30 laps, I think I'm one of the better cars.
Yeah, well, that's what Stephen Jeff said a little earlier as Kyle Busch.
Top 5, my rowdy friends.
Top 5, the man who won here last in 2019 when he won his second Cup championship.
And he ran a very traditional racetrack kind of line.
As a Red Sox fan, go Dodgers. Let's go Byron.
There you go, all the way around the
Chris,
racetrack.
what's up, bub? 100 likes. Let's go.
We'll see what Chris does.
Chris Buescher, the RFK Racing Fastenal Ford. After Chris, it's Suarez, Bowman, and then
Mr.
playoff
Butcher.
drivers Elliott,
What's up,
Larson,
Susan?
Byron, and Bell to wrap up Group 2 qualifying.
So far, a pretty good lap right here for Chris. Struggled, saw that car wiggle getting into 3. Struggled in practice with long
That was
run
good, Green
speed.
Bay.
They were pretty far
Great
off.
for Freddie.
Boy, he is hustling this car. It's close.
That's cool,
Is it
Morgan.
enough? Doesn't look like it. 7th for Buescher.
7th for Chris Buescher.
Steve, he had his hands full through 3 and 4.
Yeah, that car was definitely not stuck the way he needed it to be able to just tug on the wheel and apply the throttle.
It's on NBC
Kind of
Sports
just
app,
chasing the back,
Sean.
it looked like the whole time.
A little bit of a different design this week.
It don't work for our
In the
channel.
Freeway
I don't know.
Chevy for Daniel Suarez, predominantly blue.
I tried. It didn't work.
Watch his downshift.
It was an odd location for a downshift.
Here's Suarez.
So able to carry more speed in 3 and 4, so no need for the downshift. It shows you this racetrack, it might look the same from one end to the other. It is not. There's less grip in 1 and 2 than there is in 3 and 4.
That's frustrating for Daniel because he was in the green right up until the run exiting turn 4 to the line. Just went away at the end.
Suarez, 8th fastest.
As we go to
See
Alex
if Rowdy
Stroman,
can stay in this
the
top
Ally
5. I don't
48.
think so.
And 3 races left for this one-time playoffs driver who can spin the disappointment of being DQ'd out of the playoffs after the Roval into trying to end the year
Mr.
on a
Bowman.
positive for the 48. For the whole team that rallied so
Back-to-back
hard
gains for the
during
Preds,
the
huh?
playoffs.
Nice.
This guy drove so well during the playoffs.
Yeah, every single one of them.
First of 4
Group
Hendrick
B.
cars to go.
Yeah.
Stays
Rowdy's about to
green,
get
does
knocked
it?
out. 3rd fastest
It
for
does.
Bowman.
P3 for Bowman.
Really tight.
So that pushes Kyle Busch out of the provisional top 5.
Chase.
And now we get into playoffs drivers mode. Chase Elliott's first up.
Just gave up a ton of speed on entry, but it's making most of it up on exit. Really nice job of not overdriving the corner. Talk about a completely different corner than Hocevar, who we're comparing him to.
Hit the pace car. That's right.
Boy, it's dancing that line. But now the time's coming back for Chase Elliott, and it's coming back strong.
Woo!
Good work. Look at that.
Yeah,
P2.
Really nice job at both ends of the racetrack, Jeff. It's so
be an
easy
all
to just want to drive so
Hendrick,
far into the
top
corner.
5
But Chase,
here.
very disciplined, didn't overdrive the corner.
no,
which
I
means
guess
it doesn't
Bowman would get
start to
knocked out.
slide, gets in, gets settled, and then it allows you to get back to the gas, making the next straightaway
Eating
longer.
ice cream.
Remember earlier we gave Daniel
Larson.
Hemrick a lot of credit for a really good lap that was early on. It was good enough to still be P3, but he's got Kyle Larson, William Byron, and Christopher Bell to come. Here's Larson. Jeffy's got some time to play with.
It's all about here. See how close he gets to the wall, but was not able to go to the throttle with the aggression that he really wanted to. It's a good lap, but there's a little bit left out there if he can get it to rotate better in the middle.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be a better lap in the middle of 3 and 4. He needs to do different and decide if he needs to do something different with the controls. He'll run again.
Just goes to show what a monster lap it was for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Awesome performance, still stays on top. 2 drivers to come. This is William Byron.
This is not going the way he wants it to.
Hendrick Power. Willie B. My pick. My pick to win it.
Make up that much time in this end of the racetrack.
Ryan Priest.
1.5 tenths off at the moment for the Valvoline Chevy. Ooh, this is not what William Byron wanted. 12th from this group.
Yikes.
Big picture-wise, in the 38 car field, that's going to put him way, way down.
All right, Christopher Bell, let's see what he's got.
And it's the defending race winner, the Rheem Toyota of Christopher Bell. Here we go.
Just such quiet hands. Always impresses me.
See Bell.
Out. Little scuffing there. This is tight. This is really tight.
Ooh.
Now the time's coming back for Christopher Bell. He's got 1/10 of a second in hand. And he's getting more. As he comes to the line, he's going to push Bowman out of the top 5.
Cool it down.
Another Toyota, baby.
Christopher
P1.
Bell, 32.268. The playoff driver trying to make the championship for the 3rd consecutive year. Defending race winner, puts himself in the top 10 like that. Congrats, though, to Daniel Hemrick for making it, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 2 standouts from that qualifying session, Group 2. Dave?
Well, here is Daniel Hemrick. How about that lap got you into the final round, and what can you do with it?
Yeah, it's interesting surprise, which is good for us. This team's continued to work really hard. Obviously, not being back in this thing next year, you never know how a group's going to continue to stand behind you. But Trent Owens, every one of those 31 Circle teams, done a great job of continuing to just give me everything I need. So I appreciate everything Matt Colley and Chris Wright's done for me over the years. And yeah, I know there's only these last 3 to go, but it's fun to advance to the 2nd round here at a racetrack that's one of the toughest to get around. So yeah, good race car. No matter what, we're going to roll off at least 10th here. So really proud of these guys and what they continue to do for me.
You got to take us a little bit into interesting surprise. So did you do anything different? Was the car just that much better than it's been certain places this year?
Yeah, I mean, listen, everybody here on Sundays studies the same stuff, sees how to get better week in and week out, year in and year out. And I've said it all year, right? I'm driving these race cars, at 90% of these racetracks for the first time. So understanding the little nuances of when to shift, how the shifting affects the cars.
CD.
So I struggled a little bit the first 2 or 3 last practice getting acclimated, but after I got out of the car in practice, I felt like we're in a pretty decent spot. So, like I said, he didn't know it was me that much better, but
the good thing is that we got another shot to go run another lap here.
And then where does that put your head for the race with miles to run and lots of time to work on it?
Yeah, I mean, we've had such bad track position on me probably qualifying majority of the year, so it's going to be good to kind of be up in a lot better air and hopefully be able to attack the race and understand how to put ourselves in position as the sun will start to fall there at the end of this thing and hopefully find ourselves in a spot where we can go have another solid day.
Great. Thanks, Daniel. Lee, a lot of pluses there for Daniel Hemrick.
And he's finished. He's almost broken into the top 10 in his only other Cup ride here. And as far as when you heard Daniel say to Dave Burns there, it's nice to be in the top 10. Well, he was there just a couple of races ago at Talladega. So another good qualifying performance from Daniel Hemrick.
Well, I think also, him talking about teams still standing behind him when he's not going to be there next year. It always challenges everyone.
2 playoff drivers from Group A, 3 from Group B. And, Steve, what I see on there are a lot of Toyotas.
A lot of Toyotas. They dominated the first group. They won the second group. And what makes it more challenging is 3 of those Toyotas are still playoff drivers. So Larson and Elliott were able to find their way in as well. But
where's Blaney?
Not shocking. 5 playoff
he did
drivers.
Not qualify in the top.
Yeah, the 2 Blaney. He's going to start, 20th or so. Byron, he's going to be in the 25th, 26th range. So it's a lot of work for those 2 guys.
So 5 Chevys, 5 Toyotas, no Fords in this top 10 showdown. But one of the Toyota drivers you will see is Bubba Wallace. Here he is.
Helping the team right now back the beautifully liveried number 23 this weekend, celebrating Ronald McDonald House. How cool is that? And then the fact that it's darn fast.
Yeah, it is. I appreciate everybody back at Airspeed. What a cool paint scheme. 50 years of RMHC. McDonald's has been such an amazing partner for our team and myself. And the idea came about visiting a Ronald McDonald House in Dallas. This year, we were coloring race cars. And I said, why am I not running this scheme? So I appreciate McDonald jumping on board. And hats off to the teams that participated, carrying the families of some Ronald McDonald House families. We got the Pride family, which is really, really special. I always say it, there's no greater feeling, not even getting the pole is no greater feeling than being able to give back to your community and give back to the families that need it the most. So that's what it's all about. And yeah, like you said, our car's fast, so it's a good day.
What's it like when you walk in there and see those families? You don't know what they're going through, but you can kind of think, I can't imagine.
No, you can't. So you try to do your best at putting on other people's shoes and just enjoying the moment with them. Yesterday we got to pass out some cake and some cookies, and then we played a little bit of Mario Kart.
Thank you, Clement.
Took no mercy. We had a great time.
You didn't make a kid cry, did you?
No. We didn't go that far. I let him win one race.
There you go. All right. Always good to have Bubba helping kids, helping families in the Ronald McDonald House Charities.
Bumblebee, what's up?
50 years, Lee, as you mentioned earlier. Pretty darn cool.
No, CD, if you're a fan of Brian Priest, that's what we like you to do in here. Cheer on your driver. What is Ryan Priest doing next year? I can't remember. What is Ryan Priest doing next year? Has he decided yet? Is he going to Xfinity? What's he doing in 2025? Anybody let me know what Ryan Priest is doing, because I haven't seen that yet. Let me know.
My eyes to just the work that they do down the Ronald McDonald House. We're fortunate to have such great health care in Charlotte, but what goes with that is the support of these families when they have to travel in to these cities while they have a sick child. And the work they do is just truly unbelievable. Puts it all in perspective to go down to that house and spend just a little bit of time.
So as we said at the end of regular qualifying, there are 5 Chevys, 5 Toyotas, no Fords. The last time Ford failed to make the final round was at Circuit of the Americas earlier this year. However, Ford does have the first driver in to the championship.
That's all that matters, right? That's all that matters. As Joey Logano locked himself in last week. Crazy finish on a fuel mileage race. He took the chance, stayed out front and held off a hard-charging Christopher Bell last week. Ryan Blaney kind of helped him as well, kind of drafting down the backstretch, helping out Logano save some fuel as well. But Logano, the fuel mileage race king, right? Nashville, everybody's running out of gas left and right, and Logano wins in Nashville. I witnessed that myself. Watched Denny go from winning this race to nothing. But man, but a good question on Priest. We'll see what happens with Ryan Priest, possibly going to RFK. Thank you guys, everybody. Logano knows how to save fuel. So we're coming up here on qualifying for the top 10. And Kyle Larson, Justin Haley, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Truex, Christopher Bell, Bubba Wallace, Daniel Hemrick, who is also leaving RCR at the end of the year. Just let you guys know that. Go Dick Trickle. Randy says Tyler Reddick and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Who's going to get the pole out of this? Let me know who you got in the pole. Larson, maybe. It really hasn't showed much speed. Tyler Reddick, he's been dominant. Christopher Bell is going to be up there as 2. Could it be Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick on the front row again for 2 weeks straight? We'll see. George is going the 9. Tires means everything. Bronny's got, I like Reddick for the pole. Logano's crew chief is the master of fuel. Stenhouse on the pole, Hunter says. Christopher Bell for Becky. Not a Ford, George says. That's crazy. They're not in there. Supposedly RFK. Thank you there. And let's listen in the Stenhouse, see what he's got to say as they're interviewing right here. Larson and Elliott. Larson for Sydney. Haley top 5.
With little worn tires, a little heat in the cycles, everything else?
Not real sure. It's been a while since we've made the final round. So, you know, this place, Homestead, obviously wears out the tires a lot. You know, going out early, I think, helped us with track temperature, but also helped us, you know, cool our tires back down, you know, before we go back out. So everybody on this Kroger team's been working really hard. It's been a good week. We went up to Western North Carolina to Asheville and helped some veterans there with Team Rubicon this week, and just a lot of cleanup up there. So I'm still thinking about all those guys and people up there. But, yeah, so far so good. Start to the day. Happy anniversary to my wife. You know, she flew down today, so it's a good start.
What was it like getting to, I guess I call it the front lines of Western North Carolina? They're on the ground and trying to help.
Yeah, it's just devastating. I mean, we were just in a small little piece of North Carolina, and knowing, you know, how long that river is, and, you know, all the little smaller creeks and stuff that flooded all throughout North Carolina. I can't imagine up and down those valleys. You know, what it looks like. I just know that it was, you know, tragedy where we were. And
what's up, Aussie?
so
Good to
we'll
see
probably
you.
go back up and, you know, keep helping out. I mean, they'll be working
leave
there for a
Bubba
long
out of the
time.
mix, Ross.
So it was really special for our team to get together and go do that for sure.
Well done. Good luck on going for the pole here. Lee, a lot of work yet to be done there. And, of course, now he's got to figure out, how do I do this a second time and do it better at Homestead?
That's great. I mean, we're here in the business of sport and entertainment, but the passion and determination of these drivers and teams in very much, Jeff, the same way that they go about racing, they're doing in the aid and help program.
The sport. I'm always so proud to be part of this, because in that garage, it is a brutal way to make a living. But when chips are down and somebody needs help, there is no more of a compassionate place than in that garage, a place where it's cutthroat, Steve, from a business standpoint, a competition standpoint. But when somebody needs help, that garage finds a way to help them. And it's been like that as long as I've been around it. It makes you proud to be part of it.
They always do find a way to kind of circle up and help out. And you mentioned the cutthroat part. That's what's getting ready to happen right here in qualifying. And I think that's what connects them all, is they know how tough they compete on the racetrack.
Another conversation I thought was interesting that Dave was having is, you know, how do you approach this second lap? So this racetrack, much like Darlington, it eats tires apart, and it takes a lot of speed out of the race car from the first lap to the second lap. How much speed? What do you have to do as a driver? What do you have to do as a team from an air pressure standpoint? There are a lot of very important decisions that have to be made, and for a driver, it's really the strategy of approaching the corner. That's where it all starts. How much pace am I trying to carry? Where do I want to put the race car? And if I do those things exactly right, that makes the second part of the corner much easier. But if you mess up the start of it, it's hard to ever recover. But how fast can I go? How much pace is the car going to leave? And that is in your data, right? You have that information. You know as a driver, because you were here last year, and even if you weren't, you can go back and look at the data. What did drivers do? How much speed did the car lose? And that builds your strategy. How hard am I going to attack turn one? Turn one attack speed, You get that information after you've done turn 1. Turn 3, you'll change based off of what happened in turn 1. But you have to first go into it with a strategy.
When we first came on the air, I mentioned that it's a busy day, busy weekend. Here is the menu for what is happening.
Justin
as
Haley.
Justin Haley in his Chili's mobile leaves pit road. We won't miss a thing with Justin, but need to tell you about this first. 3:30 Eastern is NASCAR Countdown live on the CW, followed by the Xfinity Series race. It's the second race in the round of 8. AJ Allmendinger already locked into the championship 4. So the race is on for those other 3 positions. Tomorrow, we'll see you on network television on NBC at 2 for Countdown to Green, and we'll go racing here at Homestead at 2:30 Eastern. Same as the Xfinity
doing everything,
Series.
y'all.
It's the
And the
second
truck race,
in
too.
the round of 8. Joey Logano already locked in. Joey's not going to feature in this final phase of qualifying, but Justin Haley for Spire Motorsports most certainly is.
Jeff, to your point about tire fall off, we're going to get a good comparison right here. Justin ran a 32.37 his first time out.
That was a smooth and clean turns 1 and 2. Car never really moved around. Seemed like he had the car exactly where he wanted it. Same here. A conservative lap in my eyes in 3 and 4.
Like y'all.
And he finishes the lap to set the pace. This is his first top 10 of the year. Best
Justin
qualifying
Haley.
of the year.
Not gonna do
for
it,
his
but
return to
good
Spire.
try there, son.
And that Chili's car starts in the top 10. A high point for 2024. How good, how long will that lap
Here's
last?
Denny.
Here is the Mavis Tire Toyota, Denny Hamlin, JGR. His lap has begun.
First lap, he definitely made some contact with the racetrack getting into 3 around the top. That bump forced the back of his car to bottom out. Out on pace with Haley, just a touch better. No smoke this time, so adjustments made.
Not that big scrape and the puff of smoke.
In the green for P1.
Hamlin's in the green and in the green to good.
A lot of the pace off of turn 4.
P1,
That's what I
baby,
was
let's
thinking.
go,
I was
Denny.
thinking Haley was a little bit conservative. Now look, that's a smart thing
Cyrus,
to do.
what's
You
up?
know you're going to be in the top 10, so I'm not being critical.
Exactly,
because it's probably
Brodie.
what I would have done as
Great
well.
job.
But Hamlin just either willing to be or able to be more aggressive with the car.
Still not going to be fast
JGR
enough.
Toyota to another. Here is the Bass Pro Shops Toyota of Martin Truex Jr.
Truex.
And this is the reverse order, slowest to fastest. So in theory, they would keep improving on one another if everybody just kind of matched their performance.
Truex had his, again, a kind of a traditional line over in 1 and 2, running the very bottom of the racetrack. Watch right here.
Cyrus, it's on
Goes to the
NBC
throttle,
Sports
has
app.
to use all of the racetrack on corner exit.
It's close, but not close enough.
Truex,
No.
Pete.
So Denny Hamlin
In
remains
round
on top.
2,
Not much in it, though.
row 2.
0.04 of a second.
Soon
If
he
you're
gets a
going to beat
BLT
Hamlin, you
something.
need to get it done early. His exit of 4
Here's
was the
Bubba.
strength of his
See if he
lap.
can
We saw right
put
there.
his boss out of
Truex
P1.
comparing to Hamlin, lost time off 4. Let's see what Bubba Wallace can do.
This is the third Toyota to come. Number 5 Chevys up against 5 Toyotas. Good start for Bubba.
In the red, though, going down the backstretch.
We know the courage of conviction that this guy has. Where was it, Darlington? He had that unbelievable 2 phases of qualifying. He's less than a 10th behind Jeff at this point.
Yeah, just not the pace in the center of the corner to be able to be aggressive as he wanted to be with the
Bubba?
throttle.
Bubba, what's up,
Faster than
Butterfly?
Haley,
Good to
not
see you.
quicker than
207
Truex or
likes.
Hamlin.
I
Thanks
mentioned
so much.
the spark. If the Reddick can't
Here's
outrun
Reddick.
Hamlin, then he's guaranteed a front row. I think they're going to have a spark even from the front 2 rows. Now it's either going to be Hamlin or the car he owns on the front row.
Reddick in the green, going into turn 2, down the backstretch.
Promising start to the lap from Reddick.
You heard the modulation of the throttle and the 600ths or so lost because of it.
Right on the wall.
He's won 2 poles this year. Coming back from a rollover last weekend in Las Vegas. He's in the green. Tyler Reddick is going to go to the top.
P1, T Reddick.
And I love the lane right against the wall.
1,000 in here. Hit that like for us. Hit that subscribe.
So if I'm in group 2, the stage has been set for me. I'm ripping the fence in 3 and 4.
Well, Stenhouse showed us that earlier, didn't he? And Reddick just showed us again.
And Hamlin, I'm sure, wanted to sit on the pole, but a great start for that team. Absolutely. After, having issues in the playoffs, not the speed, not the consistency that you would expect from this team. I think they have to be happy with that qualifying lap at the start of the weekend.
Christopher Bell might have something to say about it. Go Big Orange, Trey. That's right.
Show
today,
confidence, baby. But also the realization, Dave, that the speed really hasn't been there. They've got to be able to bring it here.
The booth was noticing the strength of your lap appeared to be corner exit. How'd you feel about it, and will it hold?
No.
We're off.
The 45 got us there.
45 got us.
Yeah, all good.
But that's good for you, too.
We're off for 2 weeks.
Yeah, driver first. But
what the heck?
absolutely, starting P4 there, that's somewhere certainly we'll get a good pit stall, and, that's a good place to win from.
Is it directionally moving in the right direction for the 11 team?
Yeah, I thought today went pretty good, and we've gotten better every run that we've made so far today. So we continue to make improvements on it. Just got to keep working.
Thank you. Up and up and up.
Heading in the right direction. So there's Tyler Reddick, and one of his bosses comes over and says, good job. That's a way to come back from a rollover.
I did like the instant answer, though, which is no, driver first. Like, I appreciate you guys bringing up that I own the Tyler Reddick car, and I appreciate that I'm getting the credit, but make no mistake about it, when I'm in this fire suit, I'm here for the driver of the 11.
It's pretty interesting, too, because you think about this, Tyler Reddick, 30 points back. Hamlin, 27 points back. If Tyler Reddick were to win this race, that makes the pressure even higher for Denny Hamlin. Of course, the same could be said if Denny Hamlin wins the race, but those two are working together clearly, sitting there in conversation, competing against each other for that last spot in the playoffs.
Well, let's hear from the man on top at the moment, Dave.
Checking in with crew chief Billy Scott, who was the first to radio to Tyler Reddick that he was up by 2/10. You beat Denny before I could really get a will that hold kind of answer from him, but will your lap hold?
I hope it's good. We'll see. Obviously, we'll be on the front row, but the main goal out of this is get pit stall 1 and really just try and stack all the odds in our favor for tomorrow's race. So we'll stay tuned and see what round 2 brings. Obviously, I think probably saw I ran, so we'll see if anyone can run a comparable lap, but hopefully it holds.
So you heard him. He feels like he showed the competition what you need to do by running the top in 3 and 4.
All right, let's see some Chevys. Here's the Circle Chevy for Corlick Racing. And Daniel Hemrick.
There you go.
Whoa.
But not full commitment, right? And his, he didn't trust his car. His car was moving around a little bit. If you're going to run the wall, you have to be right against the wall, but he was too loose to do it.
There's the radio, loose in the rear. It sure was. But nonetheless, we'll start in the top 10. Let's bring on Chase Elliott.
That's the risk of running the top. The top is going to free your car up. So while I think it's going to take a lap like Reddick's, right against
blame
the top,
Bowman's team for advancing Logano.
Right? So if you're Chase Elliott, playoff driver, how much risk are you willing to take down in 3 and 4?
Here's Chase in the red down the backstretch.
There's some work to be done here for the Napa Chevy. 0.2 of a second off.
Sim Racing says Reddick, final 4 at the end of tomorrow's race.
And it's not coming back. So leapfrogs Hemrick.
See, this is the crap right here.
Off
Chase Elliott is in Group
pace
B.
set by the provisional pole.
And he's got a 32.693.
Right, this guy right here.
But he is on the outside pole right now.
He will, I believe, do the same as
NASCAR
Reddick in 3 and 4. 2 of the very best at going against the wall.
Kind of a shallow turn into 1.
Larson not fast either.
Is this where the time is gained? Yes, it's coming back, but is it coming back fast enough? It's close.
It was was lost in 1 and 2. He actually was better than Reddick in 3 and 4,
Larson,
where we thought Reddick was so impressive.
32.325.
But he left turn 2 with too much of a deficit to make up. And it really started his turn into 1. Obviously, Kyle Larson's an amazing race car driver. So he's putting the car where it wants to be. But something about his car just didn't allow Larson to kind of open or arc that entry like I thought he would, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm with you. He knows exactly what he needed to do, and I'm sure he maximized his car, but he's not able to have the angle of approach he really wanted.
A little bit of the same for Stenhouse as he loses that same 1/10 of a second we saw Larson.
Let's see if he goes to the top. Not quite as committed to it.
And I actually, for this team, I think this is reasonable. Don't damage the car. It's already been such a positive.
Yeah.
Right? Just take the positives.
The vitamin water machine finishes the lap, and Ricky's on the provisional 2nd row at the moment. That's even better than what he did at Indy, his last top 10 appearance. So we get to Christopher Bell.
Christopher Bell,
Final
here it
driver
is.
on track. Can it be an all Toyota front row? We're about to
be
find
Larson
out.
and Reddick again. I mean, Bell and Reddick again on the front row.
Oh, wow, that's a really impressive 1 and 2. Really impressive. Now he has to match the pace in 3 and 4.
What are you going to do? You going to go to the wall?
Nothing in it. Talking about hundredths and thousandths of a second.
I think he's going to be in trouble on corner exit. The pace of the 45 off the fence is going to have overall more speed.
Reddick's going to have the
Christopher
pole.
Bell can't match it. It's Tyler Reddick.
Last week, Bell was on the pole. Reddick was on the outside. This week,
in
Reddick
the grass
and
after
Bell.
flipping a week ago, walked away from his car, uninjured. He comes back to Miami to fight and fight hard with a pole position for 23.11. How about that? Dave Burns is there.
May get a fist bump in here myself. He's going to get everybody before this day is over because he knows it is a team effort. But Tyler, with where things are, 2nd race in the round of 8, and knowing that a win gets you a clean shot at the championship in Phoenix, what does it mean to start on pole?
It's a huge deal for us. This beast Camry, man, is really fast.
Yeah, isn't that dumb?
It was nice to be able to capitalize on qualifying. All things considered, how last week ended.
Oh no,
man, we're
Larson
picking up
got
right
in.
where we left off, to be honest. So excited for tomorrow. This is my kind of place, and we know we need to do tomorrow.
He hasn't forgotten the flip lead, but he's flipped the script on pole. Tyler Reddick.
Awesome day.
Now,
awesome
according to
performance
NBC,
and a tremendous comeback.
so they had Christopher Bell on the outside.
4 rows.
That's right.
Layout.
Okay,
It's a
my
Reddick,
bad.
Larson. It's an all
There we go.
playoffs drivers.
Larson.
First 2 rows. How big is that for Hamlin, though, and his comeback story?
I think it's
My
a big
bad.
motivational factor
up,
for Hamlin
Kelly?
to try
Good
to
to see
figure
you.
it out. Jeff pointed it out, though, Reddick and Hamlin both below the cut line. They have to kind of figure out whether this is a points day or a must-win. Hearing from Reddick, Jeff, it seems like he's made his decision.
Yeah, I think he's in win mode. Justin Haley, Daniel Hemrick, both good qualifying efforts. Josh Berry, 10 car Noah Gregson, 14 to Chase Briscoe. They will be threats tomorrow.
Let's keep walking our way through the field for the Straight Talk 400. And there's some work to do from the 10th row for the reigning series champion, Ryan Blaney.
We'll have to get an update. Joey Logano as well complained about his steering. Will they have to make changes to his car? Will he have to go to the back? He's already back on row 13 next to another playoff driver in William Byron.
And here it is, the full field for you, with qualifying complete and a big day ahead, not only for tomorrow, but first of all, today as well.
All right, so we will be bringing you the truck race next. That's in your pinned message, and you will be redirected as well after this race. But thank you so much, Gonzalo. What do you say? I'm in violation. Oh, is that what he said? I don't know. But welcome in, Gonzalo. What's up, everybody? But thank you guys so much for making an early morning practice and qualifying stream successful. We did a great job. Got some subscribers. Got over 200 likes. If you're watching this, late because you slept through it, I totally get you. But make sure you hit the like button for us. And if you're new and you're finding us, subscribe. We'll be on here in about an hour for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series as they return from after like a 2-3 week break. as they have this race and Martinsville. So we'll see what happens coming up tomorrow. So if you don't like Craftsman Truck Series, you don't like the Xfinity Series, we'll be bringing that to you as well. And you don't like baseball, we'll see you tomorrow for the Straight Talk Wireless 400 from Miami, flag-to-flag coverage for you right here on our channel. So thank you guys so much for everything. Tyler Reddick on the pole. He was on the outside pole last week. Christopher Bell, I thought it was going to be the exact swap, but Kyle Larson squawked in there just a little quicker. So Tyler Reddick, Kyle Larson on the pole on the front row for tomorrow's race. And thank you everybody that popped in here for us today. We'll see you in about 1 hour, about 55 minutes or so for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, the Baptist Health 200 from the Homestead-Miami Speedway as they get down to their nitty-gritty with 2 races left. This race and Martinsville to the championship 4. Grant Infinger is already in. We'll see who else can get in. We'll see in a bit. Same concept with the audio and the leaderboard. We can't show cams during the truck race. But thank you guys so much for everything. I want to thank my lovely wife, Spain, for taking care of a lot of things going on behind the scenes that you guys don't know about. I love you, baby. Thank you so much. And I want to thank my moderators for moderating. I want to thank my members for giving their hard-earned money back to the channel. I want to thank you for watching so early in the morning. It's only 10 a.m. and we got our first stream down. We got 3 to go. It's all day CeeLo here on The Go at CeeLo. Who's hanging with me? If you are, I'll see you in just a little bit. Until then, we'll see you next time. Love you guys. Happy Saturday afternoon or Sunday evening to some of y'all around the country. Peace out. We'll see you in about 55 minutes for some more NASCAR racing.